16%. Chapter 41. There is a way to heaven, you don't walk. Li Fan laughed blankly as he watched Qi Shushu stopped and turned to look at own weird and demonic beasts. Oh, this weird spiritual sense is quite sharp. After muttering to himself, Li Fan graciously jumped down from the tree. Taking the 70 Qian Yuanzong disciples behind him, walked out of the forest. Those demonic beasts saw the people of Qian Yuanzong roaring. If it wasn't for the 10 weird ones who didn't give an order, they would immediately pounce on Li Fan and the others. When Fu Bingying saw Li Fan appearing from behind the mountain, a light flashed in her eyes, followed by a ray of unconcealable sadness. Sure enough, he came to this point. Unexpectedly, the people of Wuyang Sect would have been lurking under the mountain a long time ago, just watching them fight with demonic beasts, if it weren't for the sharp eyes of the keen eyes to find their bodies. I'm afraid I will continue to watch the show. It seems that the people of Wuyang Sect are not at ease with their cold water sect, and they have to use weird hands to further consume their strength before conquering the rest. Although there are mixed flavors in her heart, Fu Bingying still agitated the few spirit power in her body and shouted, "You are the Wuyang Sect cultivator who has received news from Yunner." Li Fan was a little puzzled when he heard the voice coming from a distance, but he understood it as soon as his thoughts turned. It seems that these people regard them as the so-called Wuyangzong who came to help them. Although I don't know what Wuyangzong's identity is, Li Fan still doesn't plan to be troublesome. I have admitted the wrong person. We are just passing by to look for the rogue cultivators of Bayan's secret flower. When Fu Bingying heard this, there was a bit of disappointment and a bit of rejoicing in her eyes, which was extremely complicated. Haven't waited for her to say more. A few weird people can't wait. See the casual chat of these two people. One of them led him with a weird sound of a beast, and rushed towards Li Fan with hundreds of demonic beasts. Not very good. Humans are their enemies, and you can't go wrong if you kill them. Seeing the oncoming weirdness, Li Fan snorted coldly. Behind him, 70 disciples of the transmutation realm lined up, ready to face the attack of demonic beasts. Li Fan looked at the strange snake-tailed human face, and the spirit power exploded under his feet. When Fu Bingying saw Li Fan rushing towards the weirdness, she wanted to promptly remind Li Fan not to go head-on. Quickly avoid the weird charge and wait for the opportunity to be the best policy. The weirdness of the third level of the viscera-raising realm is no small thing. The weird methods are ever-changing, and the cultivator under the same realm is impossible to defeat the weird. But before she could speak, the scene before her stunned her, and she couldn't say anything stuck in her mouth. Li Fan's hand slashed the blazing knife suddenly, and the strange figure with a human face and tail suddenly turned and avoided the blade of the blazing knife with great flexibility. It's a pity that Li Fan's wrist shook, and the fiery knife that plunged into the air suddenly changed its direction strangely. The human face and snake body were weird, as if he had deliberately used his head to harden the blade. Suddenly, the hideous man's head flew high and fell in front of the other 9 weird bodies. A faint green glow flashed past his body, turning into fly ash. The scene was terribly silent for a while. Li Fan also sighed in his heart. The gatekeeper in the ascending tower is indeed superb. If he was the previous one, he would need a battle to kill this weirdness without a knife and magical powers. But now the blazing knife moved at will, and the strange head was chopped off without any effort in a single hook. Coupled with the feint of the eastern liver and thunder gas attached to the knife, it is really as easy to kill the weird as cutting melons and vegetables. Seeing Li Fan's terrifying strength, Fu Bingying's surprise turned into ecstasy. I ask Senior to help me kill the weird place in Cold Water Sect. Afterwards, Cold Water Sect is willing to offer the white flame secret flower with both hands, and there will be a good return. When Li Fan heard this, his heart was calm. This Cold Water Sect couldn't stop these weirdness, he had judged it a long time ago. As for the white flame secret flower, since it is not in other locations under the mountain, it must be on the top of the mountain. It's nothing strange. But he didn't say much. He faintly responded, planning to solve the weirdness in front of him first. So many weird things are all shining heavenly Dao merits, how could he let it go? And even after he helped the Cold Water Sect to resolve the crisis, Li Fan was not afraid of any other ideas they had. To deal with these weirdness, he didn't plan to use his whole cards, if Hanshui Sect dared to break his promise by then. He sent them to the sky with 5 thunder magic powers. Standing opposite to Li Fan, the other 9 weird screams in front of them who had died tragically with weird vertical eyes. The 9 weird complexions were grim, twisting or large or thin bodies approached Li Fan one after another, and surrounded him. They just want to tear up and swallow the obnoxious human in front of them. There was a boom. A giant jaw opened strangely, occupying 90% of his body's blood basin mouth, and a dark purple beam of light sprayed out from his terrifying mouth, directly facing Li Fan's head and attacked. Li Fan's legs were entangled with lightning, and his figure leapt back slightly, avoiding the fierce attack. The black-purple beam hit the air, corroding a large area of trees behind Li Fan into a black solution. Ha, it's dangerous. Li Fan wiped the non-existent cold sweat on his forehead. Just now the one who didn't pay attention and almost capsized the ship in the gutter, he didn't expect this weird not only to attack fast, but also to sneak attack. Fortunately, his profound thunder step can be easily used a few times when he reaches the dirty raising state, otherwise. Weirdly, the giant jaw saw that the attack failed to hit, and immediately opened his mouth to continue to spray the beam of light. Li Fan put away his mind and concentrated. Zon Lei Bu. At the same time the giant jaw attack was launched, Li Fan's figure was penetrated. Just when the people of Hanshaozong and Qianyuanzong were horrified, Li Fan's figure unexpectedly appeared behind this giant jaw weird, holding the blazing knife on both hands and entangling lightning. Flop. With a slash, the giant jaw fell to the ground strangely, and then quickly turned into ashes and dissipated. Okay, so strong. Fu Bingying's eyes flashed. Surprised and delighted, the cold water sect is saved. The remaining 8 strangers saw another teammate death, and their hearts were even more angry. All kinds of strange abilities that swarmed up all came out all at once. The ground under Li Fan's feet turned into a swamp of flesh and blood, and the endless scarlet arms in the swamp were grabbing his feet and body. Want to drag him into the swamp. A ghostly figure came to Li Fan silently, and his scarlet tongue flashed out and pierced Li Fan's head. It seems that I want to skewer it into a human flesh candy calabash. The bone blade suddenly appeared beside him. The head of the animal face floating beside Li Fan who wants to choose people to eat. Each of them was enough to kill the cultivator on the first floor of the cultivator. The Yellow Springs attack all rushed towards Li Fan. 16%. Chapter 42 The Underworld has no way, you just come to vote. Ah, a sigh sounded, the liver palace would chi body protected, Li Fan's body shone with thunder, turning the endless scarlet arms in the swamp of flesh and blood under him to ashes. The fiery knife that wiped out the thunder light slid upward, and a bloody tongue fell to the ground. All the skulls and bone blades around the body were cut off by the burning fire knife that pulled back. Unbearable. Li Fan snorted coldly. The figure rushed out, and after 6 times the tyrannical body strengthened by the water and cloud's blood, a terrifying force burst out. Cracked the ground under him. Boom. The sound of the ground breaking and collapsing flashed with the sharp light of the knife. Just when he used the weirdness of the bleeding swamp, the whole body split from the middle and was chopped in half. The fiery blade is constantly on the offensive, turning into wipes. Cut open the weird neck with the long tongue that had deceived Li Fan's body. Cut in one fell swoop. Invoking the thick and pure spirit power in his body, Li Fan took a backhand. Cut the 3 weird ones who wanted to sneak attack behind them to ashes. In the blink of an eye, all 5 weird animals were killed. Seeing such a miserable situation, the last 3 weird bodies rushed towards Li Fan and turned back. Don't dare to step forward. Instead, he roared again and again, mobilizing the remaining demonic beasts to surround him. You are also afraid, Li Fan said disdainfully. Let 70 disciples unite with everyone in the cold water sect to strangle the remaining 800 demonic beasts. He held a fiery knife that was not stained with blood with one hand, and stood still staring at the 3 trembling weird ones. Not moving at all. After that wave of offensive just now, Li Fan also consumed a lot of spirit power. The simple saber technique and the spirit power consumed by one slash are very small. The main thing is to kill the giant jaw that can sneak attack, and use the mysterious thunder step twice. This consumes 80% of his spirit power. Fortunately, during this period of time, through the Ascension Tower, a lot of own swordsmanship ascension. Otherwise, in the face of so many weirdness, he didn't use the time to master the 5 thunders. It may also be consumed. Thinking of this, Li Fan silently took the time to restore spirit power, so as to face the 2 weird and unclear intentions behind the cold water sect. On the one hand, I look forward to what kind of surprises climbing tower can bring to him. If the saber technique is practiced to the point of being superb, then every random attack he will cause a powerful lethality. It's even more powerful than using the martial skill, which is a sword slash. At that time, even if you create the saber technique martial skill yourself, it will not be impossible. But the premise is that we will talk about it after we have achieved great success in the sword technique. Fu Bingying looked at Li Fan, who was holding the scarlet flame knife, with a slightly moved expression. After waving his hands, he lost 7 weird ones in a row, and shivered with the 10 weird ones who had originally been ferocious. And looking at his calm expression, as if everything is under control. She didn't know what she thought. A blush appeared on her pierceable cheek, as if she had made some kind of decision. However, I saw disciples with wounds and white clothes around me. Her pretty face became cold again. The beast of Wuyang Sect. Fu Bingying cursed in her heart, her face full of resentment. As a human cultivator, he struggled to survive in this endless mist. It is disgusting that they eat inside and out, and use weird hands to mutilate the same kind. Fu Bingying, with an angry face, was even more fierce when she shot. The trick is to hit the weakest place of demonic beasts, and one blow is deadly. But half an hour. Of the 800 demonic beasts led by the 3 weirdness, there are only more than 20 demonic beasts that surround the 3 weirdness. Seeing that the demonic beasts in front of him were killed one by one, the 3 weirdness couldn't help but want to take action several times. But as soon as he saw Li Fan's indifferent eyes revealing killing intent, he was immediately too scared to move. The spirit power in the body recovered 60%. Li Fan looked at the few weirdness in front of him and demonic beasts were ready to do it. At this moment, another group of people came behind him. With a whistling sound, a dark yellow stone stimulated and fired at the 3 weird ones, and its attack power was not much weaker than when Li Fan used a slash. Of course, it was a one-shot cut using only 10% of the spirit power. But even so, if this strike continues, the 3 weirdness will definitely be unstoppable. Seeing someone trying to grab the head, Li Fan's figure flashed to catch up with the sharp thorns of the carrier's violent power. The fiery knife slashed down vertically. Clang. The dull sound of stone and iron hitting came. Li Fan didn't look back at the stone thorn, but suddenly turned and the fiery knife passed in front of the 3 weird bodies. With a flutter, it was the sound of a knife piercing into the body. Ding! Gongshi Sect leader gains a 100-fold increase and gains Heavenly Dao Merit 200. Ding! Gongshi Sect leader gains a 100-fold increase and gains Heavenly Dao Merit 200. Ding! Gongshi Sect leader gains a 100-fold increase and gains Heavenly Dao Merit 200. After killing the last 3 weirdness, Li Fan listened to the Ascension voice coming from the system, and Li Fan smiled in satisfaction. After all, he was not in vain. Every stranger who raised the dirty realm could bring him 200 strands of Heavenly Dao Merit. 10 weird 2,000 strands of merit were obtained, his blood and visceral body tempering treasures. In addition, the secret technique of Haoshan Ziyu's secret technique for nourishing the viscera has its place. Only then did Li Fan slowly turn around, looking at the densely gathered people in the jungle behind him. Called back the scattered disciples of Qian Yuanzong, gathered behind him. Li Fan looked at one of the leading men. He has long flowing hair, a handsome face, and his skin is a little too pale, as if his kidneys are weak. What a skin of young Master Pian Pian. It is his long, narrow eyes and thin lips that make his whole person look a bit vicious. Papa. The man with kidney deficiency clapped and looked at the corner of Li Fan's mouth with a smile and said, "Your Excellency is really good at killing the 3 weird zombies with a single blow, and he even blocked my spell. I admire him." Although it sounds good, Li Fan did not see a trace of admiration on the face of the man with kidney deficiency. On the contrary, he felt a bit of cold breath from this man. Li Fan looked at the man in front of him lightly, without speaking. But there was some inexplicable hostility to this person in his heart. Why do you feel a little disgusted when looking at this man with kidney deficiency? I really want to chop him down. Where is it good to split? Li Fan lost his mind and fell into deep thought. The handsome man looked at Li Fan with an indifferent expression and didn't say anything, but he was a bit fierce in his heart. Just now, he led the Wuyangzong people in an ambush at the foot of the mountain for a long time, but unexpectedly, they were disrupted by the sudden emergence of Li Fan. A crisp voice brought the thoughts of Li Fan and the man with kidney deficiency back to reality. "Sister Bing Ying, I'm back." A sweet and lovely petite woman appeared behind the man with kidney deficiency. "Yuner." Fu Bingying responded and took the woman named Yuner back in front of her. The two chatted a few words. Finally, I learned about the news from both parties. Listening to Yuner's words, Fu Bingying was furious. It turned out that the woman named Yuner had arrived in Wuyangzong long ago and talked to the man with kidney deficiency and Wuyangzong sect leader about asking for help. It also expressed Fu Bingying's intention that if Wuyong Sect helped Han Shui Sect solve this crisis, their Cold Water Sect is willing to disband Sect, all members join Wuyong Sect, and offer all the resources and the White Flame secret flower. After all, when Wuyong Sect threatened them to join the Han Shui Sect, they were not just coveting the beauty of Fu Bingying and the many female disciples under him. They are also extremely coveted for the White Flame secret flower, one of the main materials for refining the Zhengji medicine pill. But after Wuyongzong Sect connected Yuner to Sect, he dragged left and right, but didn't set out to rescue. It's just a nonsense saying that a large number of Sect disciples went out to explore the mist and have not yet returned, and there is insufficient staff. But when Yuner entered Wuyong Sect, it was obvious that there were a lot of 500 Wuyong Sect disciples, and the Wuyong Sect leader still opened his eyes and said nonsense. The obvious dough is gone. After delaying for a long time, everyone in Wuyongzong finally set off for Guangyang Peak. But when they reached the gate of Hanshui Zongshan, they lurked. Seeing Li Fan's move, he was about to kill all the weirdness. That Wuyongzong Sect leader showed up uncontrollably. The meaning is very obvious, that is, I want more people to die in the Cold Water Sect, and weaken the strength of the Cold Water Sect as much as possible. Fortunately, when they joined the Wuyong Sect, they could easily suppress and absorb all the Cold Water Sect disciples. Fu Bingying understood the cause and effect, her angry silver teeth clenched and trembled. Facing Li Fan, he bowed deeply, bowed his head and said loudly, "Thank you, Senior, for saving me Cold Water Sect in the time of embarrassment. My Hanshui Sect is willing to become the Senior's subsidiary sect, and offer all the Bayan secret flowers with both hands." 16%. Chapter 43. Battle with Wuyongzong. Song Fu, the sect leader of Wuyongzong Sect, his face was shocked when he heard this, followed by endless anger. The whole person is going to explode. Fu Bingying, what are you talking about? Song Fu said with icy expression in his eyes. Fu Bingying glanced faintly at Wuyongzong Sect leader Song Fu, and took a sip with disdain. "Senior, please accept our Cold Water Sect. I can make the Heavenly Tao Oath. If there is any betrayal, the soul will fly away." Li Fan was also a little confused when he saw this situation. "I just want to find the White Flame secret flower, what's the situation? And what attached sect, what Heavenly Tao pledge, can you guys say something I understand?" When Li Fan was puzzled, the system sounded a faint beep. The 8-rank sect can have 1 subsidiary sect, the 7-rank sect can have 2 subsidiary sects, and so on. Subsidiary sect has the limitation of Heavenly Tao's oath, and cannot rebel against the owner sect, otherwise everyone in the whole family will be judged by Heavenly Tao. Subsidiary sects need to pay resources to their sects every year, and how many resources are submitted to the owner sect can be determined at will. Persons who belong to sect are also counted as disciples of the main sect. After reading the explanation of the system, Li Fan felt a chill in his heart. The rules of this subsidiary sect are very strict, saying that the subsidiary is actually a slave of the master sect. Resources need to be handed in, and how much to hand in is determined by the sect leader at will, even if you are asked to hand in all the resources of the fond. You can't say a word. And the maneuverability of not being rebellious is too great. If the main sect asks the subordinate sect to face the weird or demonic beasts whose attacks are so powerful that they cannot be defeated, the subsidiary sect will be on it even if he knows he is biting his head. It was terrible and cruel, but Li Fan still lacked disciples. If you want to upgrade to the 7th rank sect, you need 1,000 disciples. He is still too far behind. Anyway, as a subsidiary sect, this Cold Water Sect can neither threaten him, but also increase the number of 300 disciples for himself. Why not? As for Song Fu's gritted teeth and thunderous expression, don't care about him. Any stumbling block that prevents Li Fan from getting stronger is only one word: death. Li Fan looked at Fu Bingying indifferently, and said faintly, "If you really think about it, I am willing to accept you as my subsidiary sect." Upon hearing this, Fu Bingying bit her index finger and forced a drop of blood essence in her body. There was a word in the mouth, and soon there was a golden light in the sky. A magical feeling flooded into Li Fan's heart, and the attribute panel automatically appeared in front of him. Properties panel. Li Fan, sect leader of Qian Yuanzong. Realm: nourish the dirty ground. Body: body tempering 6th floor. Cultivation technique: purple qi Keishan Jing 7 products Ho Shen Ziyu secret technique transfusion. Martial skill: 1 sword cut, 1,000 illusion demon palms, mysterious thunder steps. Spells: none. Supernatural powers: master the 5 thunders. Sect grade: 8 Product Sect. Affiliated Sect. Cold Water Sect. Seeing that there is an additional column called Subsidiary Sect under the Own Property panel, Li Fan feels quite magical. As soon as he turned his mind, he could feel the general emotions of everyone attached to Sect. There is helplessness, surprise, unwillingness, fear, and worry. Although Li Fan was the one who benefited, he still sighed, no matter how dangerous the situation is in the future. Even if it is death, you can't become someone else's attachment. Sect, life and death are between the other's thoughts. This feeling is too terrible. Fu Bingying, you bitch, dare to break the contract, do you know the fate of offending our 3 alliances? I want you in this to live and die, and dare to accept you as a fellow attached to Sect, so that you can die. Song Fu, a man with kidney deficiency, had a grim face, and he seemed to have such a handsome face. Seeing now is so disgusting. Originally, Song Fu had concealed the other 2 sects of the 3 sect alliance this time, and secretly wanted to subdue the Cold Water Sect in secret. Although the 3 sect alliance is an alliance, but in this mist is the weak or prey to the strong. Among the 3 sects, Wuyang Sect is the weakest. If you no longer want to increase your strength, then the 3 alliances will become 2 alliances sooner or later. And he and Wu Yangzong will be eaten even with no dregs left. Therefore, the large number of disciples of the Cold Water Sect and the White Flame Secret Flower on the Guangyang Peak in the sect were something he was bound to obtain. It is also his hope that he can continue to maintain the stability of the 3 alliances. He worked hard and coerced and lured. Even a large number of acquisitions of monster core deepened the fog on Guangyang Peak and gathered a large number of weirdness to deal with the Cold Water Sect. It was to take the Cold Water Sect over at a very small price. Unexpectedly, they were all ruined, in the hands of a hairy boy who suddenly appeared. Song Fu was very angry now. No, there is still a chance. As long as you get rid of this obnoxious kid and Fu Bingying's bitch, you can also bring the Cold Water Sect to the sect. Even the sect and sect resources of this kid will be given to me. Obtain all the resources of 2 8th rank sects at one time. As long as he develops slowly, he will have the opportunity to promote Wuyangzong to the 7th rank sect. When the time comes, the 3 alliances will also be based on him. Song Fu calmed down in an instant, and asked the 500 disciples under him to surround Li Fan and the Hanshuizong sect. Li Fan saw his actions, and immediately understood his thoughts. I can't help myself. Song Fu didn't talk nonsense, running spirit power in his body with all his strength. 3 dark yellow Jiangshu stone guns condensed out and shot towards Li Fan. Cut in one fell swoop. Mobilizing 30% of the spirit power in his body, Li Fan smashed 3 stone spears with a single blow. Then he lifted the knife and rushed towards Song Fu. Fu Bingying looked anxious in her heart. Originally, she planned to become Li Fan's subsidiary sect. Let Li Fan and others enter the Cold Water Sect and guard the Cold Water Sect to resist the delay for a while. Relying on geographical advantages and other 2 disciples, spirit power, and Li Fan's spirit power are almost restored, and then solve the Wuyang sect everyone. Still did not expect Li Fan to be so reckless, directly attacking Wu Yangzong. There are a large number of Wu Yangzong disciples, and she and Li Fan's disciples combined are not enough for others to fight. What's more, on the one hand, after a long battle, exhausted, spirit power dried up. On the other side, everyone is full of energy and spirit power. How can this be done? As for Song Fu's existence at the pinnacle of Zhengjung realm, although Li Fan's strength just now shocked her. But after all killing 10 weird people in a row, does he still have enough spirit power? Fu Bingying was a little worried, but since he chose the camp, there was no room for retreat. This is her first fight since she became Li Fan's subsidiary sect. There must be a good performance, even at critical moments, for Li Fan to block the knife. Otherwise, if Li Fan is dissatisfied with their Cold Water Sect, the result will be beyond her tolerance. This is the sorrow of becoming an affiliated sect, but it is better than merging into Wuyangzong. Fu Bingying can see what Wuyangzong has done. After entering Wuyang sect, I am afraid that the female disciples under her Cold Water Sect will be eaten even without bones. And she chose Li Fan just to lead her disciples to live, nothing more. This is her belief as a sect leader. Fu Bingying glanced at the Cold Water Sect disciple behind her and sighed in her heart, we must live. 17%. Chapter 44. Li Fan looked at the little white face in front of him, feeling very happy. I looked at you just now. It's not pleasing to your eyes. I've been wondering where to cut for a long time, so I can do it. The fiery knife in Li Fan's hand seemed to have felt the emotion in the owner's heart, and made a cheerful buzzing sound. In the blink of an eye, the fiery knife slashed in front of Song Fu's face. After all, Song Fu is the pinnacle cultivator of the Viscera stage, with a very quick response. The magical item long sword at the waist moved according to the heart and floated automatically to block the fiery sword that was smashing. Not even the scabbard came out. Li Fan felt a little greasy when he saw Song Fu's confident complexion. Li Huo knife quickly changed its strokes and slid towards Song Fu's left arm, leaving a deep bone wound on his left arm. If you have a sword, you don't need to pretend to be forceful. What's the use of rectifying those messy things? Li Fan snorted coldly while continuing to swing the knife towards Song Fu. The huge pain in his left arm made Song Fu's face blue. He looked even more ugly when he heard Li Fan's irritating words. There is white in the blue, black in the white, and red in the black. Watching Li Fan happily, she couldn't help but vomit again. You have a shy face that is pretty cool, just like killing Matt's hair. Jen Liniang has taste. I can't hear what Li Fan said, but I guess it's not a good thing anyway. Song Fu pulled out the long sword with fire in his eyes. The slender sword was covered with the majestic spirit power, and it stabbed Li Fan at a very fast speed. The rapier and the long sword collided and confronted each other, stirring up a fierce wind. Li Fan's fiery knife was extremely fierce, and he used a wide-backed sword into a strange and agile posture. Let the spirit sword, which is already light and agile, unable to break through the defense of the long sword for a while. Fu Bingying also came to Li Fan's side at this time, running with a cold spirit power, lowering the temperature around Song Fu by a few cents. While Song Fu attacked Li Fan with all his strength, an ice blue longsword kept tapping at Song Fu's vitals. It's a pity that Song Fu is a cultivator of the 9th level of Zhengjung realm after all, with a strong spirit power and a light sword that will block both of the offensives. Li Fan and Fu Bingying, it was really difficult to cause any harm to them for a while. The three sect leaders played against each other, and they couldn't tell the winner for a time. But on the other side, the battle between the 370 disciples of Hanshui Sect and Qianyuan Sect and the 500 masters of Wuyong Sect had a tendency to be one-sided. The two disciples of Hanshui and Qianyuan both experienced long-term fierce battles with demonic beasts. All of them were wounded and lacked in spirit power. Coupled with the overall strength of Wuyong Sect, more than half of the disciples in the transmutation realm. For a time, the two disciples of Hanshui and Qianyuan could barely resist by relying on the terrain. Nevertheless, it is almost too much to resist. Everyone's injuries are getting worse. Before long, I am afraid that a large number of disciples will fall. Li Fan looked at the timing and manipulated all spirit power in his body to pour into the blazing blade. The blade buzzed and trembled, the blade turned into a scarlet flame, and it slammed at Song Fu. Cut in one fell swoop. Fu Bingying also saw that she was extremely anxious, the spirit power in her body was frantically surging, and a huge vortex of cold surrounded her. The ice blue long sword turned into 10 phantoms, and quickly attacked Song Fu's back. Song Fu, who was trying his best to resist Li Fan's powerful fiery sword, couldn't distract him for a while, and could only do his best to prop up a dark yellow spirit power earth shield behind him. Boom. Laugh. Two sounds were made at the same time. Li Fan slashed Song Fu's long sword into the air with a single blow. And left a hideous wound on his chest. The spirit power earth shield that Song Fu was propping up behind was also broken by the phantom of 10 ice blue long swords. Song Fu fell to his knees, vomiting blood. With such an injury, he has no way to survive. For a time, countless pictures flashed in his mind. Some were unwilling, some were angry, some were shocked, some were regretful. But in the end all turned into madness. He struggled to stand up. The last bit of strength was used to block the attack of Li Fan and Fu Bingying. In his hand, he took out a heart that was dripping with black mucus and still beating. Swallowed it in one bite. When Li Fan's long knife was blocked, it was a little unclear to see Song Fu's behavior in front of him. As this to eat something to be a satiated ghost, but the taste is so strong. Li Fan muttered, smelling the stench from the black heart. Fu Bingying was shocked when she saw this scene, and she yelled sharply, "Run, he is crazy." Unexplained, Li Fan was grabbed by the oncoming Fu Bingying and led to the position of Sect in the cold water sect. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, roar. Song Fu was wrapped in a thick mist into a cocoon, without a weird roar like a human. The skin on his body shattered and fell, revealing bloody flesh and blood. The body's bones continue to melt and condense. The pale yellow muscle fascia dissolves rapidly, and the melted bone residue covers the dissolved fascia. Kacha, kacha, a crackling sound of stone sounded. The misty cocoon pupa that had wrapped Song Fu's body shattered. The fierce, foul-smelling gale rolled up the sand on the ground and spread to the surroundings. A dark and deep human-shaped skeleton monster composed of sharp bone armor appeared in front of everyone. What's going on? Why did Song Fu suddenly become like this? Li Fan asked, looking at Fu Bingying with a heavy expression. Fu Bingying sighed deeply. Song Fu gave up his identity as a human, and ate the weird heart formed by weird flesh and blood, and transformed it into a complete monster. This kind of monster is neither human, nor demonic beasts, nor is it weird, but a brand new creature. They are stronger than humans of the same realm, and even weird can't defeat them even after evolution. They have no reason, no emotions, and are not affected by anything. Their only purpose is to kill all the lives they see. Li Fan roughly understood Fu Bingying's words, which probably meant that Song Fu became stronger after being transformed. Before Li Fan wanted to ask, what is that strange heart? Song Fu turned into a black bone armor monster, called Song Fu Plus for short, looked around. He rushed straight to the Wu Yangzong who was nearest to him. Wu Yangzong disciples saw that his own sect leader suddenly became like this. They didn't know what to do for a while, they didn't know what was going on. Even if Song Fu had become such an evil and terrifying monster, they still did not dare to stop it from approaching. Until Song Fu Plus used its sharp bone blade to tear open the body of a Wuyongzong disciple next to it. And let out a roar of joy. All the Wuyong sect talents attacked the monster one after another in dismay. Quickly, kill this monster, it is no longer the sect leader of our Wuyong sect. Everyone in Wuyongzong drove the magical item long sword and bombarded the monsters continuously, and the powerful impact lifted waves of sand and dust on the ground. 17%. Chapter 45. The tenacious Song Fu. The dust cleared, and Song Fu Plus black and tough bones were not damaged at all. It twisted its neck and raised its arms. Swinging his upper limbs, which were made up of a large number of sharp long bone blades, rushed into the crowd. The hand lifted the knife and fell open, and the stumps and broken arms were flying all over the sky. A scene of purgatory on earth. What? No, don't kill me, sect leader. Why is this? The Wuyongzong disciples kept wailing. 500 disciples died in the blink of an eye, and more than 100 of them died. The others were also being slaughtered by this monster quickly. As a large number of people died in the hands of this monster, a little black light appeared on its black exoskeleton. Fu Bingying saw the tragic sight in front of her, and was speechless in fear. But when she saw the black light on Song Fu Plus body, she anxiously said to Li Fan, sect leader must find a way to stop this monster. Let it kill again, and when it adapts to the evolution of this body, we will die too. Li Fan's eyes flashed as he listened to Fu Bingying's anxious words. Follow me to try its depth first, and control your spirit sword to attack from a distance. Li Fan took Fu Bingying and quickly came to Song Fu Plus. His enemies were extremely jealous when they met. Although he has lost his reason, he has no thinking. But Song Fu only felt murderous when he saw a man and a woman suddenly appearing in front of him. It wants to shred the two people in front of it. Song Fu Plus turned around and randomly shredded a Wuyong sect disciple who was pierced by a bone blade into his own nutrients. Then rushed to Li Fan two people. The spirit power in Li Fan's body is almost exhausted, and he can only use his flesh to use sword skills to resist the monsters that are rushing over. Boom! With this single blow, Li Fan was struck by Song to fly a distance of more than 10 meters. The burning knife in Li Fan's hand also made a clear noise, and two cracks appeared on the blade. Li Fan was shocked and distressed. The 7th rank magical item blaze knife that had accompanied him for more than a month was hit by this monster. How hard its body is, even the 7th grade magical item can be crushed. Before Li Fan could stabilize his figure, Song Fu Plus rushed to Li Fan's body quickly. The hard bone blade and the blazing knife constantly clash. At this time, Fu Bingying's ice blue long sword arrived, and she used her spirit power to control the spirit sword to chop the bony head of Song Fu Plus. There was a cry. The sharp long sword hit Song Fu's head, but only a little spark was drawn on it. So hard. Li Fan knew it in his heart, knowing that this monster could never be killed with the martial skill and magical item of the two. He gestured to Fu Bingying, and the two quickly returned to the cold water sect. Li Fan returned to Han Shui sect's mouth, not flustered in his heart, but squeezed it with one hand. Yuqing Shiqing, the true talisman tells the alliance. Move the second sea, mix one into reality. 5 thunders and 5 thunders, anxious to meet Huang Ning. Encountered changes, roaring lightning fast. The sound is coming, and the sound of the sun will be heard quickly. The gloomy sky, the howling wind, cyan lightning that cut through the sky. It fell straight on Song Fu Plus, who rushed to the cold water sect. Fu Bingying felt the vast aura of the cyan thunder light summoned by Li Fan, and an uncontrollable awe rose in her heart. Then came ecstasy. Such a powerful thunder can surely kill this monster. The monster made up of pitch black bone armor struggled and roared. But there is nowhere to escape the bombardment of Dongfang Mulei. The sharp and tough bone blade broke first. The monster's dark exoskeleton continued to shatter, but it turned its head to regroup in the endless gray mist. Song Fu Plus roared and wailed, struggling in the endless thunder. Finally the majestic thunder light dissipated, the pitch-black skeletal monster was smashed, and broken bone fragments scattered all over the place. The people who were worried just now, whether it was the Hanshui sect Qianyuanzong and the Wuyang sect, all cheered. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the foreground, and sat down on the ground. The consumption is quite large today, but there is no reward for how to kill this monster. Isn't it weird that he didn't give Heavenly Dao merit? Li Fan was a little puzzled. A breeze blew by. There was still a faint light of thunder, and the black bone fragments that were about to turn into fly ash trembled. Then hovered and gathered quickly. After a few breaths, a black skeleton monster that was 2 sizes smaller than before, covered in cracks and broken bones, stood up again. Fu Bingying looked incredulous when she saw the monster resurrected. Didn't the powerful Lei Fa be able to kill it? Her eyes were filled with despair. Is it going to die here today? Unexpectedly, after all, he would still be unable to escape this ending. It was obvious that he was about to succeed just now. She looked at the disciple of the Hanshui school behind her apologetically. Maybe she didn't refuse Wu Yongzong's request at the beginning, maybe it wouldn't be the case. Behind him, the 2 disciples of Qianyuanzong and Hans Haozong were extinguished by the sudden resurrection of the monsters, and they became noisy one by one. An aura of depressive despair enveloped the entire Guangyang peak. Everyone couldn't help but think the same thought, are you going to die? Are you going to die here? Li Fan sat on the ground, opened his eyes, and couldn't help shouting, how come you are like a cockroach? What kind of Frieza do you pretend to be, a little boy? The monster made a strange cry at Li Fan, as if responding in anger. QNMD, fortunately I still have one hand. Li Fan singled his finger and shouted angrily. The black monster looked up suspiciously. Boom. The second cyan thunder fell from the sky, hitting the head of the black armored monster. When resisting the first wooden thunder, the black armored monster had exhausted all its power, and now it was dying. At this time, the second wooden mine descended, and it had no ability to resist. In a moment it turned into fly ash and dissipated in the world. It's finally over. Everyone on the entire Guangyang peak, including the hostile Wuyongzong disciple, cheered. Celebrate their aftermath. There is really no reward yet. Li Fan glanced at the system, and sighed without seeing any reward prompts. But then he didn't care too much. This time, Li Fan would think of it, and he felt a little bit afraid. Fortunately, after he was promoted to the viscera-raising realm, the vitality of the 5 internal organs in his body received a substantial ascension. Allow him to display the second Eastern Liver Palace Mulei, otherwise it is really possible that the ship will capsize in the gutter today. Unexpectedly, both of the 8th rank sect, the Wuyang sect leader Song Fu's methods are so much stronger than Mu Quan of the Ghost sect. There are people outside the world. There are people outside the world. Thinking of this, the joy that Li Fan had originally produced by destroying 2 8-rank sects in a row disappeared. Li Fan struggled to stand up. He still has things to do. The original goal today was to find the last elixir for refining and raising the Dirty Realm monster core, the White Flame Secret Flower. Whoever thought so many things would happen? 17%. Chapter 46 3 Alliances. Li Fan stood up and asked the disciples of Qian Yuanzong to confiscate all the Wuyongzong's weapons and tie them up. Then Fu Bingying, who was looking happy, said, bring me the Bian secret flower. Fu Bingying heard the words, with a touch of dilemma on her face. Master sect leader, the White Flame secret flower is located behind the Great Hall of the Cold Water sect. When I saw this kind of elixir, I ordered my disciples to surround the place where it grew. Got up. It has been built into a medicine garden, but unless there is space for the magical item to store this white flame secret flower, it will lose its efficacy soon after it is taken off, and the subordinates have always taken it as needed. If that's the case, then you take me over, I have my own way to take it away. Li Fan said lightly after hearing the words. Fu Bingying's heart was shocked. Unexpectedly, Li Fan is not only powerful and amazing in spells, but also has secret treasures such as space magical item. Later, with a more respectful expression, he led Li Fan the way and came to the cold water school's medicine garden. Looking at the faint white light in front of him, Li Fan nodded in satisfaction. There are nearly 500 white flames of this secret flower, and that amount is enough for him to use it for a while. And after he brought them back to Qian Yuanzong with the system backpack, he could also plant them in Sect's spiritual field. After being cultivated, more white flame secret flowers will be produced after a while. The resources for the cultivation of the viscera are enough now. Looking at the handy panacea in front of him, Li Fan did not rush to do it, but looked at Fu Bingying beside him. Fu Sect leader, after hearing that Song Fu mentioned the name 3 Sect Alliance just now, your expression was a little serious. I don't know what kind of power this is. When Fu Bingying heard Li Fan's question, she hurriedly said, Master Sect leader can just call my name directly. The subordinate is already a subsidiary of Master Sect leader, Sect, so I dare not call myself a Sect master in front of you. The Wuyang Sect itself is one of the 3 alliances. The 3 Sect alliances are formed by the 8th rank Sect Wuyangzong, the 8th rank Sect Heavenly Alliance, and the most powerful 7th rank Sect Sun Chasing Alliance. The 3 Sect Alliance is a powerful force around here, and the main reason is that the 7th rank Sect chasing the Sun Palace. The Palace Lord Ji Wu, who is chasing the sun, was originally a cultivator of the Aperture Passing Realm, with a high level of strength. In the past few years, they have led the formation of 3 alliances and united with the 2 sects of Wuyangzong and Tianri League. After forming the alliance, Ji Wu led the 3 alliances to sweep all the forces in the 3 sects with a radius of 300 miles. There can be more than a dozen sects, large and small. These sect people are either taken as a subsidiary sect, or the disciple of the sect leader is beheaded and eaten by the 3 parties. However, because the 8th rank sect can accept a sect as an accessory, most of the sects are destroyed, and then all the resource disciples in the sect are divided by the 3 alliances. So in the past few years, the strength of the 3 schools has developed very rapidly, and they are extremely powerful forces. When Li Fan heard this, he raised his hand and interjected, you just said that the Sun Chasing Palace is the 7th rank sect, and Ji Wu is the cultivator of the Aperture stage. But as far as I know, isn't it true that only the cultivator of the Guanli realm above the Aperture realm can create the 7-rank sect? Fu Bingying's expression became more serious when she heard Li Fan's question. That's because Sect, the largest in the Kanglan region, the people from the Pure Palace have visited the Sun Chase Palace. Before Song Fu persuaded me to join Wuyang Sect, he heard him mention that the 6th rank sect Qingjing Palace, the first power of the Kanglan region, came to Ji Wu about 20 days ago with the order of the Palace Lord of the Qingjing Palace. I don't know what agreement they have reached. After Ji Wu left the Qingjing Palace, he broke through to the Guanli realm. And the Chasing Sun Palace is also promoted to the 7th grade sect. Li Fan nodded, and it made sense. No wonder the dignified 7th rank sect Chasing the Sun Palace will be in alliance with 2 8th-rank sects. After Chasing Sun Palace was promoted to the 7th rank, Wuyangzong and Tianri League were probably unable to sit still. As an alliance, they knew what would happen to them if the strength of the 3 parties was unbalanced. So Song Fu urgently wants to expand his power, and even secretly attacked your cold water sect with the alliance behind his back. Li Fan said blankly. Yes. Fu Bingying nodded. Li Fan kept thinking. That being the case, the Sun Pursuing Palace and the Tianri Alliance will definitely react when they discover that the Wuyang sect has been annihilated. And the promotion of Tianri Palace to the 7th rank power will definitely expand further. So the new 8th rank sect Qianyuanzong, who is not too far away from them, will meet them sooner or later. Li Fan rubbed his eyebrows and said, since Guangyang Peak is no longer safe, the 3 alliances exist in name only. Chasing Sun Palace will probably take the opportunity of the destruction of Wuyang sect to establish his position as the hegemon of this area. The Cold Water sect is his target. Pick up your things immediately and move the Cold Water sect to the vicinity of my Qianyuan sect. If you chase the Sun Palace, you can resist 1 or 2. Fu Bingying also knew the stakes in her heart, and did not hesitate to say, follow the order of sect leader. Seeing Fu Bingyiang withdraw, Li Fan put all the white flame secret flowers in the medicine garden into the system backpack. Confirmed that the white flame secret flower is in the system backpack and will not wither death, Li Fan left here. Came outside the cold water sect. Li Fan looked at all Wu Yangzong disciples who looked hurt and apathetic. With a cold face, he said, Song Fu is dead, Wu Yang sect has become history, surrender or choose death. He is not in the mood to talk nonsense with these defeated generals. It is best if he is willing to join Qian Yuanzong. It doesn't matter if he doesn't want to, he will send them on the road directly. Knowing about the three alliances, Li Fan's heart seemed to be pressed against a boulder. The cultivator of Guanlaijing is 2 realms higher than him. It was so difficult to deal with Song Fu, a filthy cultivator. Who knows what kind of methods and strength Ji Wu, who is the leader of the 3 sect alliances, will have. Anyway, it will definitely be more difficult than Song Fu's little white face. The disciples of Wu Yang sect, who were tied up all over their bodies and sitting in the open space, said one after another without any hesitation, I am willing to surrender and join Qian Yuanzong. I have seen the great strength of Li Fan, coupled with a counterattack after being transformed by their sect leader. Everyone in Wu Yangzong has long been mentally exhausted and exhausted. Now that there is a chance to live, why should I hesitate? Li Fan got their answer and didn't care too much. Let the disciples of Qian Yuanzong look after them and prepare to take them back to Qian Yuanzong. With the further growth of Qian Yuanzong's number and strength, Li Fan is also preparing to formulate more complete rules. These newcomers must not be given the same treatment as the original 110 disciples. He intends to classify these Wu Yangzong disciples and the newly recruited disciples as outer sect disciples for inspection. The resources of Qian Yuanzong will only be tilted towards the inner disciple who is contributing and loyal. Over time, Li Fan will make judgments with their contributions. Do you want to ascension them as inner disciple? Before that, they could only come slowly. Ascension Li Fan trusted them. After dealing with these people, Li Fan called 30 Qian Yuanzong disciples and asked them to take 2 Wu Yangzong people. Go to Wu Yangzong to receive their trophies and bring back all the resources, cultivation technique, martial skill and all useful things. After speaking, Li Fan turned around and returned to Qian Yuanzong with everyone from Hanshaozong. 18%. Chapter 47. The Great Harvest. Inside Qian Yuanzong. Li Fan pointed to a row of houses on the edge. Looking at Fu Bingyiang, she said, you will live here for the time being. When the matter of the 3 alliances is resolved later, you can establish sect near Qian Yuanzong. Good sect leader, Fu Bingyiang responded. With a pair of big eyes open, together with the other Hanshui sect disciples, they looked curiously at the buildings in Qian Yuan sect. Wow, it's so magnificent here. The stone pillars on this great hall are all made of amethyst spirit mine. There is a burst of fragrance in this room. The houses here are all made of red sandalwood. Did you not notice just now, the plaque on the top of the mountain gate was completely cut from a huge piece of suet jade. This spirit jade is usually used to make jade pendants. Wearing it for a long time by ordinary people can have the effect of calming nerves and prolonging life. Unexpectedly, using such a large piece of spiritual jade as a mountain gate plaque is too extravagant. Li Fan didn't talk too much, and let them chat. These people need some time to ease and relax their mood. On the one hand, it has just experienced a long battle. On the other hand, sect has just become a subsidiary sect of others. These things happen so quickly, they can only use chat to distract them as much as possible. Shaking his head, Li Fan came to Ling Tian. Plant the 500 white flames secret flowers in the backpack. With the addition of the sprouting tiger tail ginseng and xuanshuang grass, with the effects of the spiritual field, these 2 elixir can mature in less than a month. At that time, you will be able to refine monster core and enhance cultivation base. And it should be faster. Li Fan took out a large number of demonic beasts' corpses from his backpack, all of which were collected on Guangyang Peak. The flesh and blood of a few hundred demonic beasts should help Ling Tian speed up a lot of birth. After clicking the acceleration function of Ling Tian, the corpses of demonic beasts piled on a hill next to Li Fan turned into a rain of flesh and blood, sprinkled in the entire spiritual field. Well, looking at this situation, 3 days is enough to ripen the elixir. After dealing with these matters, Li Fan returned to the position of Great Hall of the sect. Calculating the time, the disciples who went to Wu Yangzong to receive the spoils should also be back. Sure enough, it didn't take long. 30 disciples returned to Qian Yuanzong, panting for breath. Li Fan followed them to the sect warehouse. This time he was going to directly see if there was anything that could be used. Calling out the disciples who had put down their things, Li Fan stood in the warehouse and looked in the same way. 100 copies of the fire attribute spirit ore. 240 copies of metallic spirit ore. 300 copies of amethyst mine. 3,000 spirit stones. A ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and gaining a ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and gaining 300,000 spirit stones. Good guy, Wuyong sect is really rich, much richer than the previous ghost sect. Is this the role of sweeping the surrounding sect? Thinking about it, Li Fan was a little moved. Smash it, he continued to look through it. There were too many messy things, and after searching for a while, he still found several good things. A 7-pin cultivation technique, Wuyong Changea. A ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and gaining the 5th rank cultivation technique, Lihuo Wuyong transformation. 5th rank cultivation technique is good, you can practice to the realm. It is really troublesome to just switch cultivation technique back and forth, and it is necessary to refamiliarize cultivation technique operation route. The acupoints position of the operation, cultivation technique attributes, etc. This will undoubtedly delay his time, but the 5th rank cultivation technique has a faster practice speed, and he wants to break through to a higher level in the future. It is inevitable to constantly replace higher level cultivation techniques. Li Fan felt a little distressed, and at this moment he glanced at the own attribute panel. A properties panella. Li Fan, sect leader of Qian Yuanzong. Realm. Nourish the dirty ground. Cultivation technique. Purple Qi Keishan Jing, 7 grades upgradable. Martial skill. 1 sword cut, 1,000 illusion demon palms, mysterious thunder steps. Spells. None. Supernatural powers. Master the 5 thunders. Sect grade. 8 products. Affiliated sect. Cold water sect. Cultivation technique actually has an upgradable label. What is this operation? Li Fan was shocked. It's a bit like a game. After calming down, Li Fan focused his attention on the column of cultivation technique and understood the situation. It turns out that this system can upgrade the cultivation technique it belongs to, but there are 2 ways. 1. Only your higher level cultivation technique can be recovered by the system insight. Then modify your current cultivation technique. Give a chestnut. It is to assume that your current cultivation technique is the 7th rank, and the cultivation technique you obtained is the 5th rank. Then the system will transform your cultivation technique according to the higher rank cultivation technique and retain some of the characteristics of the high rank cultivation technique. This is the first way. The second is simple and rude, exchange with heavenly Tao merit. As long as you have merit, go directly to the Star Palace and exchange it directly. Whether you want a new cultivation technique, or you want to upgrade the original cultivation technique, as long as the money is in place. Only you can't think of it, you can't do it without a starry sky palace. Knowing this, Li Fan did not hesitate, and directly picked up Lihuo Wuyong Fan. Click the upgrade button on the system interface. Lihuo Wuyong Bian disappeared from Li Fan's hands. And the purple qi opening in his body that is constantly rotating has undergone some subtle changes. Spirit power runs faster in the body, and it seems that a thin film of spirit power will appear on the body surface when it is running. This film added another layer of defense to his body. Li Fan exclaimed, "It's amazing, it actually changed the path of cultivation technique directly in my body. This really saves a lot of trouble." After solving the problem of cultivation technique, Li Fan continued to look through the results. A ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and winning the 6th rank sword technique Bixi sword techniquea. A ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and gaining the 7th rank magic soil thorn. A ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and gaining the 7th stage magic earth shielda. These martial skills and magic spells, because they should have been used by Song Fu in the battle at that time. But at that time Song Fu only used the 7th rank sword technique and the 9th rank technique. And what he obtained was a higher rank martial skill and spells that had been multiplied by 100-fold. After flipping 2 pages of Bixi sword technique at random, Li Fan threw it aside. Although this sword technique is of high grade, it is not suitable for him. He felt that this sword technique would easily reduce his fertility, so let's throw it to Qian Yuanzong disciples for practice. They shouldn't care, Li Fan smiled evilly. Just kidding. The main reason is that he is used to using knives and is too lazy to practice swords. Just forget it. But these two spells are good at the time. Li Fan's mouth is smiling. This is the first time he has seen such a spell. Thinking of the powerful stone thorns that Song Fu condensed at that time, as well as the spiritual earth rising behind him, Li Fan still had some yearning in his heart. Well, I can look like a cultivator when I finally fight. I have been using a knife to force the grid to be lower. Li Fan thought of it. Then when he looked at the last two objects, his eyes lit up. 18%. Chapter 48. Lunar Gathering Monster Core. The last thing that catches the eye is the two kinds of refining monster core materials. A Kangyun Miasma 30A. A Snow Fox Crystal 30A. A Ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and gaining Sunburst 3000. A Ding. Congratulations to Sect Leader for gaining a hundredfold increase and obtaining Snow Fox Crystal 3000. The refining materials of Taiyan Poly Monster Core are quite complicated. In addition to some spiritual herbs, these two special materials are also needed. When he wiped out the Ghost Sect, he obtained a large number of spiritual herbs. Among them, the other materials for the monster core of Lunar Gathering were already available. Only these two kinds are missing. You can start refining. Putting away these two materials, Li Fan is going to hand over the pill recipe and materials to Renguan for a while, so that he can refine them for later use. But it's not in a hurry. Li Fan did not go out, but with a movement of divine mind, he entered the great hall of the starry sky. The eternal and unchanging endless stars revolve around an endless palace. Li Fan stepped onto the illusory staircase and entered the great hall. Groups of colorful lights are still floating in the huge great hall. As his thoughts turned, two light clusters appeared in front of Li Fan. Secret of Hoshin Ziyu. Nourishing the viscera. Exchange price. 500 wisps of heavenly Tao merit. Hey, the number of merit points needed has doubled. Li Fan smacked his lips, but didn't care too much. Now his strength is ascension a lot, and the merits gained by killing the strangeness of the zombies have also changed from 1 strand to 2 strands. After a hundredfold increase, a strange zombies raising realm can provide him with 200 wisps of heavenly Tao merit. And he now possesses 2,000 wisps of heavenly Tao merit, which is much more generous than before. Without hesitation, the money that should be spent cannot be saved. Li Fan directly used 500 strands of heavenly Tao merit to exchange the Hoshin Ziyu secret technique, nourishing the viscera into his hand. Then he looked at another light group. Wuji Body Tempering Medicine Pill. Body Tempering Medicine Pill. A total of 9 body tempering medicine pills can be used. Exchange price. 100 strands of heavenly Tao merit. Like the Hoshin Ziyu secret technique, it has doubled. 9 times of body tempering is 900 strands of heavenly Tao merit. Li Fan was a little painful, but he still bought it. With 600 strands of merit in his hand, Li Fan was thinking about whether to exchange something for something else. Well, now the movement technique is enough, and the long-range attack technique is also available. Li Fan touched his chin. Right, see if there is a suitable magical item. As soon as his thoughts moved, magical items and spirit weapons flew out of the weapon rack on the right side of the palace. Among the weapons, the common weapon is the lowest. As the name suggests, it is the weapon used by mortals or low-level cultivators. This weapon is only made of ordinary iron, and there is no formation pattern engraved. As a result, it cannot withstand the spirit power blessing in the cultivator and is very easy to break. Secondly, due to material limitations, the conversion rate of spirit power is low, and spirit power is also gathered to perform martial skills. Magical item can release all the spiritual chi that the cultivator has poured into the weapon. And Fan Chi may either be unable to release spirit power at all, or the spirit power released may not exist at all. Anyway, it's useless. On top of all artifacts is the magical item, and the blazing knife used by Li Fan before is the 7th rank magical item. Magical item is a weapon commonly used by cultivators. And there are spirit tools on top of magical item. In fact, the magical item is not more powerful than magical item, and its power is higher. But the reason why a spiritual tool is called a spiritual tool is because of the spirit of a character. Spiritual artifacts contain spirituality, which is cultivated by cultivator. It can be more in line with the cultivator itself, and it can achieve the effect of the heart beating. You can feel your thoughts, and you don't even need to use your hands. As long as you move your mind, it can automatically protect you. Move at will. Song Fu's long sword that blocked Li Fan's burning sword before it was out of its sheath was a spiritual weapon. Of course, there are even more mysterious magic treasures, spirit treasures, and so on. Those are too far away from him. Li Fan retracted his thoughts and looked at the two narrow blade tang knives in front of him. The fourth rank weapon, Flying Star Thunder Knife. The whole body is made of Tiangong Thunderstone and is extremely tough, and the blade has a faint thunder light. Extremely sharp, light and fast. Exchange price, 600 strands of heavenly Tao merit. Fourth rank magical item, Fishblade without thinking. Thin as a cicada's wings, moving like a fish. Exchange price, 400 wisps of heavenly Tao merit. Both long knives have the characteristics that Li Fan likes. Needless to say, the Flying Star Thunder Knife is tough, sharp, light and fast. Fully in line with his idea of the knife. A knife is a weapon used to kill the enemy, no matter how fancy the other abilities are. In the end, only 3 points are most important. Fast, profitable and hard. The sharp blade can perfectly break through the enemy's defense, and the faster speed can make people too late to resist the defense. Toughness is to avoid being easily damaged by the enemy in battle. And Wunian Yuyujian walks in a smart and strange style. The thin blade is destined not to collide head-on, but is more suitable for the style of beheading and assassination. After thinking for a while, Li Fan decided to choose the fourth rank weapon, the Flying Star Thunder Knife. Although more expensive, but more suitable for him. With 2,000 strands of heavenly Tao merit in his hand, it was easily spent. Li Fan felt like he hadn't bought anything yet, and the money was used up. This makes him very distressed. This is 2,000 strands of merit. The other sect leaders in the system kill and raise the weirdness under the dirty realm. It takes 2,000 to get so many heavenly Tao merits. Even if it is weird to raise the dirty realm, it will kill a full 1,000. What is the concept of raising 1,000 zombies weird? Then the 7th grade sect chasing the Sun Palace strong. Sect leader Guanli realm, its disciples probably have a lot of transmutation stages and zhang stages. Just being a sect leader brought a lot of oppression to Li Fan, which forced him to hide in the Qianyuanzong array with the Cold Water sect. However, 1,000 weird people are dispatched, and they can pile up 2 sun-chasing palaces on one by one. And this is the case of 2 7-rank sects like Chasing Sun Palace, where the desperate whole sect is struggling with the weird. After killing these weirdness, it is estimated that there will be no one left in the 2 sects. Oh, Li Fan sighed and accepted the reality that he was still poor. But there is still no hurry to leave. His eyes were caught by a martial skill on the bookshelf on the left side of the palace. A 3rd-rank martial skill, Point Kang Knifea. There are a total of 36 styles of swordsmanship, that is, 36 levels of realm. Every time you master a style of sword, you will get the first stage knife shadow. 36 knives are superimposed, and they are as fast as lightning, opening mountains and rivers. Exchange price, 1,200 strands of heavenly Tao merit. Good things, good things. Li Fan looked at this 3rd-rank martial skill and wiped his mouth with his sleeve. 36 knives are superimposed, and 36 knives follow each other. Who can stop this? Practicing it to great success, killing the weirdness is not a matter of grasping it. Unfortunately, it's a bit expensive. He reluctantly looked away, and his divine mind returned to his body. Li Fan took the newly acquired Flying Star Thunder Knife from his backpack and walked out of the room. Run spiritual chi, slash with one blow. The majestic spirit power is covered on the Flying Star Thunder Knife, and the martial skill is slashed out. Shocked. Without seeing the trajectory of the blade clearly, a big tree in front of him has been chopped into 2 sections with a single slash. So fast, Li Fan exclaimed and couldn't help thinking, what kind of scene would it be if he used the Flying Star Thunder Knife to display the martial skill and point the Kang knife? The knife moved with his heart, and the thin blade of Faxing Liguang knife flew in the air and circled twice in front of Li Fan. With a clang, it was automatically classified into the scabbard. 19%. Chapter 49 Preparation. Familiar with the new 4th-rank weapon, Faxing Thunder Knife, for a while. Li Fan is ready to start full ascension, the overall strength of himself and Qian Yuanzong. For them, the current strength is still too weak. There are endless weird tides, and life and death may be unpredictable when encountered. Nearly there is a 3-sect alliance that survives, Chasing the Sun Palace and the Heaven and Sun Alliance, the 2 major sects. These 2 cases, no, or the newly promoted 7th-rank sect Sun Chasing Palace will definitely not give up. Thinking of this, a playful expression flashed across Li Fan's face, maybe there will be only the last of the 3 cases in a few days. Tisk tisk, chase the Sun Palace. There is not much time left for him and Qian Yuanzong. Li Fan rubbed his brows a little worried and annoyed, and called Heng Qing from the courtyard. Ask him to inform all the sect disciples to gather in the Great Hall, including the newly joined Hanshui sect and Wuyong sect disciples. He was going to teach them the 2 7-rank spells, the spiritual soil thorn and the spiritual soil shield, and the 6th rank sword technique Bixi sword technique. Let them hurry up and practice. Sword technique doesn't matter, but the 2 techniques must be practiced as soon as possible. When these 2 techniques were in hand, Li Fan had an idea in his mind. In the past few times, the overall strength of the disciples of Qian Yuanzong in Ming and Ming dynasties has been improved a lot, but fighting against people and fighting is still fighting separately. Or it's not bad to fight with a few people, because the fighting method is too simple. Especially the 2 battles that took place before Sect, one faced the weird riots, and the other faced the people of the ghost sect. Ming Dynasty Emperor Qian Yuanzong had a 6th rank sect. The enemy could not attack, but the enemy could unilaterally attack it. But because he lacked the means to effectively confront the enemy from a long distance, now that he had the spell of spiritual soil thorn, some of his ideas could be implemented. There are also a large number of newly planted elixir that is ripened with a large amount of demonic beasts' flesh and blood, which should mature in 2 days. The monster core of the transmutation realm and the dirty raising realm must be refined in large quantities as soon as possible. And recently, we must start to strengthen the vigilance around Sect. Put some skillful and clever disciples within 10 kilometers of Sect to hide. Ask them to carefully observe the changes in the surrounding environment. Once they find that the density of the surrounding fog has changed, or there are suspicious persons appearing, respond to him as soon as possible. After a while, Heng Qing called everyone in Sect over. Li Fan sat on the white jade chair above the Great Hall, looking at the people of Qianyuanzong, Hanshaozong, and Wuyongzong standing in the hall, and was a little stunned for a while. It can be said that the current Qian Yuanzong is like a rising sun. When Li Fan first became the sect leader of Qian Yuanzong, Sect was dilapidated and even the house where sect leader lived was leaky. There were only 10 disciples in inner sect. Sect was lifeless, with no disciples fighting spirit, just thinking that he could live a day by day. Now the magnificent Great Hall, there are 700 disciples standing in the vast Great Hall. Among them, the lowest strength all have the strength of the peak washing marrow. Looking at this scene, Li Fan also felt a sense of accomplishment in his heart. This is how he came into this world and did it in less than 2 months. After returning to mind, Li Fan explained all the things he had just thought. In addition, it was announced that 110 disciples of Qian Yuanzong were promoted to the inner disciple of Qian Yuanzong. Attached to the sect Hanshui sect and Wuyong sect, new people who entered sect, are now the outer sect disciples of Qian Yuanzong. At this stage, inner disciple can enjoy all the resources of sect unconditionally. The medicine pill of the 6th rank sword technique, the 2 7-rank spells, the blood changing and visceral cultivation can all be used in insight practice. There is only one purpose. Before chasing the Sun Palace, try to go up the cultivation base ascension as much as possible. As for outer sect disciples, if you want to practice medicine pill and insight to practice martial skill, you must use sect contribution in exchange. You can get contribution points whether you kill the weird, turn in the demonic beast's monster core, or the spirit stone's elixir. After Li Fan finished speaking, the 110 inner disciple of Qian Yuanzong cheered. But the people of Hanshui sect and Wuyong sect were mixed with disappointment and longing on their faces. On the one hand, they were a little surprised by Li Fan's great skill. The spells were hard to find, but Li Fan actually came up with 2 7th-rank spells at once. And the 6th-rank swordsmanship is extremely precious. As for the medicine pill refined from monster core, let alone. Normally, their practice is to slowly absorb the spiritual chi between heaven and earth, or better use spirit stones cultivation. As for the medicine pill that increases the spirit power ascension cultivation base, it is something that can be met but not sought. Usually only by making great contributions can you get a reward or two. After all, the spiritual chi that absorbs the heaven and the earth and the spiritual chi cultivation within the spirit stones are both water milling skills. It's like their cultivation base in the blood-changing realm. They want to use the cultivation technique alone to absorb the spiritual chi practice of heaven and earth. It will take about 3 months to ascension a small realm. The spirit power in the spirit stones is much purer and richer. It only takes about 1.5 months to practice with spirit stones to ascension a small realm. It is equivalent to twice as fast as ascension. As for practicing with medicine pill, 2 or 3 medicine pills refined by the transmutation realm monster core can be absorbed in just 3 days, allowing them to ascension a small realm. Compared with simply absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual chi, the speed of ascension has been increased by 30 times. If medicine pill is sufficient, as long as it is not a poorly qualified person. It took a month to make the breakthrough from the first level of blood exchange to the state of nourishing the viscera. I thought that in less than a month, there would be 110 more cultivators here. The people of Hanshui Sect and Wuyang Sect had a feeling of fear in their hearts. Such sects will become the overlord of one party sooner or later. Whoever is against them must not give them time to grow. Otherwise they will feel what despair is. Unfortunately, these outer sect disciples do not receive such treatment. But when they turned their heads, they all had a strong fighting spirit. If it doesn't work, we must become inner disciple. We must hurry up to collect spirit stones nearby, kill demonic beasts to get monster core in exchange for contribution points. Striving for an early promotion to inner disciple, this is the sacred land where they practice. As long as you make a contribution, you can get countless medicine pills. This is too tempting for everyone who was reluctant to even use spirit stones to practice before. Li Fan looked at the fighting spirit and longing on the faces of the 2 disciples of Hanshui Sect and Wuyang Sect, and smiled. This is exactly what he wants to see. For a sect, it doesn't matter if the disciples are temporarily weak. What he has is the resources to put them on the cultivation base realm ascension. But faith and fighting spirit come first. Without conviction and uplifting heart, even if he piled up a large amount of medicine pill, resources, and spirit stones without limit, he would pile up their realm without limit. It's just that there is a little more waste with realm, and it's not capable of fighting at all. And through personal efforts to obtain contribution points in exchange for resources can also enable these people to integrate into Qian Yuanzong as soon as possible. Increase their sect sense of belonging. Having said everything, Li Fan screened out the disciples in the Great Hall. He left Fu Bingying alone. Fellow Taoist, you can take this Bixi sword technique and the Spirit Earth Thorn Spirit Earth Shield 2 spells to practice. Li Fan handed the 3 re-engraved martial skill spells to Fu Bingying and said. There was a hint of surprise on Fu Bingying's fair and pretty face, and she was somewhat at a loss. Sect leader, you are ashamed of your subordinates who have not contributed to sect yet. Li Fan looked at Fu Bingying's cute expression, and thrust jade slip directly into her hand. Gently said, the 500 white flame secret flowers of fellow Taoist Fu are of great help to me. Moreover, you are the only cultivator in sect except for me. You are more powerful and will help Qian Yuanzong more. Now we can say that we will lose all the glory, and we don't have to worry too much about this. I also sincerely hope that the fellow Taoist strength can be ascension faster. Li Fan said with a smile. Fu Bingying looked at Li Fan's gentle and sunny smile. Her heartbeat speeded up a bit. She lowered her head and stroked the broken hair around her ears behind her hot ears. Then he raised his head again. His expression changed from dull to solemn. Replied repeatedly, the subordinates must do their best to serve the sect leader. Li Fan responded, and after chatting with Fu Bingying for a few more words, she sent her out. Now he should hurry up and ascension his own strength. It will take 3 days for the elixir to mature, and medicine pill estimates that it will take 3 or 4 days before the refining can begin. Now you can try to increase the physical strength ascension first. Li Fan took out the crystal clear pill. There was a faintly radiant promise body refining pill on the pill, and swallowed it in one gulp. Then I sat down in the lotus position and started refining medicine pill. As the promise refining pill was slowly refined and absorbed, Li Fan's skin slowly revealed a touch of silver. It's like turning into a hard ore mine. After waiting for the cultivation of the Zhengji medicine pill for the past 3 days, Li Fan will be able to complete the first body tempering of the Zhengji. When he continued to swallow medicine pill for the second body tempering, he suddenly found that his body was a little unbearable. Forcibly refining half of the medicine power. His tough flesh made an overwhelming shattering sound, his skin was covered with cobweb-like cracks, and his body was covered with blood. As a last resort, Li Fan stopped and continued to temper his body. It seems that you can't be rushed. The body needs a period of nourishment and accumulation to continue body tempering. Her own blood qi is not strong enough, and the previous accumulation has been exhausted, and we need to find some treasures to enhance qi and blood. Li Fan thought about it in his heart and found the reason. Putting this idea in the bottom of my heart, Li Fan decided to go to the trading interface to find out if there is anything in this regard. Coincidentally, at this time, Ren Guan sent the refined medicine pill over the viscera. I encouraged Ren Guan and asked about the recent practice of Sect disciples and whether the surroundings of Sect are normal. I learned that the disciples' cultivation base is steadily ascension, and the practice of the two spells is also progressing well, and there is no abnormality around Sect. Li Fan let go of his heart. Turned his head to turn on the system. 19%. Chapter 50,000 Heavy Demon Liquid. After looking through the trading interface for a long time, I did not find the elixir and medicine pill for replenishing qi and blood. Li Fan was a little disappointed. But after searching for him, he found something interesting. A 7-rank Weiyuan Pilla. The 7-rank medicine pill can greatly replenish and restore the spirit power in the body. Elixir is necessary for fighting method to ensure that your golden gun will not fall into 7 and 7 out, and make your enemy kneel down and beg for mercy and call dad. Price. 1 spirit stones. Transmutation realm 1000 heavy demon liquid. The venom of demonic beasts, 1 drop can dry up the transmutation cultivator. For the cultivator, it can also temporarily weaken the spirit power in its body and cause slight damage to the body. See who is not pleasing to the eye, give someone a drop to ensure that he rises in place, and you can say it after you use it. Price. 5 spirit stones a drop. Li Fan first discussed with the seller of Weiyuanden. If he wanted to buy the pill recipe in his hand, he could make a contract with the system and not sell it outside. However, he was ruthlessly rejected. He held the money tree and refused to let go, just wanting to sell the medicine quietly. Li Fan felt it was a pity, but it was not too pity. Anyway, now he has a lot of spirit stones, and he can buy it anytime he uses it, and he believes that he can find the same effect or even better in the future with this pill recipe. With a big wave, Li Fan directly placed an order for 7,000 pieces. The seller on the opposite side was happy and worried. I quickly chatted with Li Fan in private. I'm sorry, brother, I only have 1,000 pieces in my hand now, that's all. You give me some time for the rest, half a month, not 10 days, and I promise to deliver the medicine pill to you as scheduled within 10 days. You see if you can pay half of the deposit first. I also need more spirit stones to buy pill refining materials. Li Fan put 1,000 Weiyuanden into his backpack. After thinking about it, I agreed to the other party's request. Anyway, the system is binding. It is impossible to deny things after placing an order, if you want to deny it. The system will directly obliterate those who relied on the account. Even if the other party died due to an accident and the buyer's items were not available in time, the system would forcefully deduct spirit stones from the seller and return it to the buyer. Although there is still a little risk, Li Fan doesn't care. He has a huge sum of 340,000 spirit stones in his hand, which is not bad. If the other party really died in an accident, he would be regarded as a follower of the other party. Arranged for the delivery of the remaining medicine pill time. Li Fan spent another 5,000 spirit stones and bought 1,000 drops of 1,000 heavy magic liquid. Directly bought out all the inventory in the trading interface. The seller of 1,000 heavy magic liquid saw Li Fan's handwriting. It didn't use Li Fan to chat privately, but he took the initiative to find him. Boss, I'm the seller who sold your 1,000 heavy demon liquid just now. I still have some high-end products that I intended to use myself, but if you are interested, I can reluctantly give up. After the seller finished speaking, he sent a screenshot of the item introduction to Li Fan. Nourishing Viscera 1,000 heavy demon liquid. The venom of demonic beasts, 1 drop of which can poison the viscera cultivator. Seeing the screenshot in front of him, Li Fan laughed directly. This person is the whole family of Chenjiang Devil Snake. Not only there are so many 1,000 heavy demon liquids in the transmutation realm, but also in the unclean realm. Li Fan smiled and asked, there are not many things, how much inventory do you have? The cultivator seller with little eyes on the opposite side quickly replied, Big brother, you are really insightful, but the output of 1,000 heavy demon liquid that can poison the cultivator is extremely low, and I only have 20 drops. But since you want it, I will reluctantly give up. 20 drops will give you a discount of 2,000 spirit stones. Bazi Hu's eyes flashed and replied. Li Fan looked at the offer from the opposite side and shook his head. It seems that seeing me spend 5,000 spirit stones to buy this thing at once, and treat me as a fool. Since your excellency also desperately needs this 1,000 heavy demon liquid, it won't be loved by others, so you can keep it for yourself. Li Fan's face was flat and returned to the other party. Seeing Li Fan's reply, the 8 character Who cultivator's eyes twitched. The 1,000 heavy demon liquid that raises the dirty realm is indeed precious and can directly poison the same rank cultivator. However, it is not very profitable to use this app to deal with the same rank cultivator, and it is not cost effective to kill demonic beasts. 20 drops of 1,000 heavy demon liquid will kill at most 20 demonic beasts and get 20 monster cores. Going higher, selling 20 spirit stones for a monster core is at most 400 spirit stones. It is better to sell to those in need. Thinking of this, the 8-character who cultivator said whispered, "Your lord has a large number. You just reported the wrong price in the next hour. I'm definitely going to give you an affordable price for a big customer like you. I have given you all 1,000 spirit stones. What do you think?" Seeing that the price was directly reduced by half, Li Fan pondered. A drop of 1,000 heavy devil liquid that can poison the cultivator, 50 spirit stones is also suitable. No more words, just take a picture. The 8-character who cultivator looked at the spirit stones, and clenched his fists. With 1,000 drops of the blood-changing demon liquid and 20 drops of the visceral demon liquid, a total of 6,000 spirit stones were harvested. The strength of his and the sect disciples in his hands has been able to take another step. These resources save a little bit and are enough for all his disciples to cultivate to the peak of the visceral nourishment realm. As long as he earns more, he will also have the opportunity to break through the visceral nourishment realm and reach the Tongqiao realm. A smiling Bazi who excitedly replied to Li Fan, "Boss, if you have any needs in the future, just talk to me in private. As long as there is something on the market, I can get it for you. You can rest assured that it will definitely be the most suitable price. Even the rare things that are not found on the market, as long as you have enough spirit stones, I can find a way to collect them for you." Li Fan looked at the opposite side with such a big tone, and joked, "I didn't expect that you are not so capable, you can really get anything. I want to buy a 3rd-rank swordsmanship, I don't know if you have it here." Bazi who scratched his head awkwardly, "You are kidding, how can you get such a high-level martial skill at the current level of the overall sect? If you are talking about the 7th-rank martial skill, I can find a few more copies of the 6th-rank martial skill for you. The 3rd-rank martial skill, I guess you can only go to the Starry Sky Great Hall." Of course Li Fan also knows this, and it was just a joke just now. Seeing that the other person said so, he also seriously raised his own true wishes. "I'm currently looking for a way to effectively enhance my physical body's qi and blood, whether it is medicine pill recipe or cultivation technique, any method is okay. If you have any gains in this area, you can contact me. I will give you a price that satisfies you." 8-character whose eyes flickered, enhancing the physical energy and blood. It seems that this Qian Yuanzong sect leader Li Fan is indeed well deserved. This is not satisfying and pure ascension cultivation base, but to temper the physical body and enhance the foundation to reach the peak of each realm, to achieve the same rank invincible. However, after thinking about the 8 characters who, it becomes clear. After all, as the first celebrity to make sect ascension to the 8th product, how could he be willing to be an ordinary cultivator if he can take out so many spirit stones to buy this extravagant 1,000 heavy magic liquid? After figuring out this relationship, Bazi who respected Li Fan even more, "I haven't seen what you said for the time being, but I will try my best to inquire about it through my network. Don't worry, only this thing is actually in someone's hands. I will definitely get it for you." Seeing what the other party said, Li Fan thanked him politely and ended the conversation. Although listening to this demographic, it should be quite capable. But he couldn't put all the eggs in the same basket, and turned around and shouted words on the World Chat channel for 5 minutes. Called to buy something that can increase blood and energy. Regardless of whether the seller who just promised him can see it, this kind of thing is always first come first. If that person can find something for him, he will naturally buy it at a good price. But if you point all at the other party can't find or look at him, the other party, a seller. He doesn't want to be taken advantage of what to do if he raises the price. After waiting for a long time, his private chat interface exploded. At the end of the massive news, Li Fan really couldn't get through, he directly changed the private chat settings. Only those who mentioned that they have something related to increasing qi and blood can send the news to him. At this moment, the world was instantly cleared, and the good guys had millions of messages, and there was no one in an instant. After waiting for a while without receiving a message, Li Fan closed the system interface. After tossing around for a while, I still didn't find anything that could increase vitality. Although the qi and blood of the physical body can slowly accumulate and increase through the body, even eating the meat of demonic beasts, which is rich in qi and blood, can slowly ascension. However, this accumulation rate is too slow. Even if the madly nurturing body is constantly eating meat with strong blood, it will take a month to withstand body tempering. And as the physical body gets stronger, the blood volume in the body increases. At that time, every body tempering time, after the air and blood are consumed, the speed of replenishing the thick blood will become slower and slower. Body tempering was completed 8 times, and it is estimated that 1 year has passed. It's too slow, he doesn't have so much time. A year later, he will at least break through to the realm level with Ji Wu, the Lord of the Sun Palace. That is, from the visceral state to the Tongqiao state and then to the Guanli state. In this way, the progress of the physical body will be far behind by cultivation base. But there is no good way for the time being, I can only wait patiently for news. I really can't wait to kill a few more weird ones, and go to the Star Palace to have a look. There must be a medicine pill or elixir that can ascension chi and blood. But if you can save it, save it. After all, there is no shortage of spirit stones at all, but the merits are not enough. The Houshan Zayu secret technique corresponding to each realm and the body tempering medicine pill have already hollowed him out. Even the martial skill is reluctant to buy, let alone the magical powers I have seen these 2 times, mastering the power of the 5 thunders. He also wanted to go to the palace again to see if there were any other magical powers that worked well for him. It's a pity that magical powers can be encountered but not sought. It is estimated that the 7 billion sect leader in the entire system has such a magical power in his hands. Last time it was also lucky. Heavenly Dao's exceptional reward plus the system's 100-fold increase, he got this magical power to master the 5 thunders. Later, I found it in the Star Palace, and there was no magical power in it. It can be seen that such things as supernatural powers are so rare that they can't even be exchanged in the Star Palace. But for the time being, he is not too eager for supernatural powers. Anyway, the 5 thunders in his hand are already enough for him for the time being. On the contrary, for him, the merits are desperately lacking, and they are not enough. The merit is still too rare. Li Fan sighed and took his thoughts back. Li Fan picked up the medicine pill sent by Rengguan and swallowed it. Lotus Position sat down and began to refine the medicine pill. 19%. Chapter 51 Breakthrough. There is no time for practice. 10 days passed in a blink of an eye, and the endless fog outside Qian Yuanzong began to move around again. Li Fan stood up and stretched, making a crackling sound from his bones. It looks like it's time for the weird riots once a month again today. Li Fan whispered nonchalantly. Now that his strength is better than that of the last weird riot, I don't know how much ascension was. A few days ago, Li Fan didn't report any hope for Ascension's method to infuse his flesh and blood, but also successfully found it. Speaking of this, thanks to the cultivator who sold him 1,000 heavy demon liquid. Unexpectedly, that person's work efficiency is quite fast. Just 2 days after Li Fan told the man his needs, he received the news from him. The other party didn't know where they received a pill recipe called Yuanling Tianbu Tian Dan, which can quickly replenish the cultivator's physical vitality. This thing was originally a medicine pill for treating physical injuries, but Li Fan took a closer look and found that it should be what he was looking for. Without hesitation, it took 2,000 spirit stones to buy directly from the Bazihu cultivator. After receiving Li Fan's spirit stones, the 8th character who was also full of joy, and quickly took the opportunity to get closer to Li Fan. Such high-quality customers are rare. They are rich and powerful, and transactions are easy. Li Fan patiently exchanged a few words with him. After all, this person still seemed to be somewhat capable. I want to find something strange in the future, maybe I can use it. When the pill recipe of Yuanling replenishing heaven pill was obtained, Li Fan directly gave it to Rengguan and let him refining it. Thanks to the wide variety of elixir of the Ghost Sect, the refining materials of this Yuanling Tian Budian pill can be found in the tens of thousands of elixir harvested in the first place. Everything is ready. Li Fan has prepared all the training resources to raise the dirty realm. In the following days, he has also entered the rapid ascension period of strength. With the help of a lot of resources, after several days of further practice, Li Fan finally brought realm ascension to the 5th floor of the viscera. As for the body tempering of the viscera, I also completed 4 times. Feeling the deep and pure spirit power in his body, Li Fan felt that with his current strength, he would definitely not be so embarrassed when he meets Song Fu after his transformation. Even if he doesn't use his magical powers, the Imperial Fixing Thunder Knife can slay him with the physical body of body tempering 4 times and the spirit power of 5 layers of viscera. After his judgment, His overall strength should now be about the same as that of the cultivator on the first level of the aperture realm. Cooperating with spirit weapons and spells, it is not a problem to kill the first level of the Tongqiao realm. In the case of using magical powers, even the fifth floor of the Tong aperture realm has the power to fight, and the outcome is unpredictable. But compared with Ji Wu, the palace lord of the sun-pursuing palace of Guanli realm, the gap is still not small. At the thought of this, Li Fan's smile narrowed. He has been thinking about ways to bridge the gap recently, but the path of spiritual practice is to hobble along the railway ropeway across the cliff. Every step must be cautious and not eager for success. Otherwise, if you take a wrong step, you will lose all your previous efforts, or you will die. And his current practice speed is already scary, and it is impossible to speed up. In fact, for Qian Yuanzong, don't worry, as long as they develop steadily, giving them a year to promote to the 7th grade sect is a sure thing. At that time, the 7th stage sect chasing the Sun Palace is naturally not to be feared. It's a pity that the worst thing he has now is time. However, he also recently thought of another method. If he could master the second thunder of the 5 thunders with his supernatural powers, he successfully cultivated the fire thunder of the Southern Heart Palace. When the time comes, the combination of the 2 thunders and the fire will be able to greatly increase the power. At the beginning, he was only able to kill the peak of the Zhang Nourishment Realm with a single Eastern Liver Palace thunder with the cultivation base. After a few days, when the second batch of white flame secret flowers that were just planted were also mature, there would be a large number of viscera-nourishing medicine pills that could be refined immediately. At that time, he will be able to reach the peak of cultivation base ascension in less than half a month. By then, relying on the 5 thunder supernatural powers that have been cultivated into 2 Daos, it may not be impossible to kill Ji Wu, who has just entered the level of Guanli realm. Thinking of this, he immediately went to the Great Hall of the Starry Sky, wanting to exchange for a high-grade fire attribute spirit orb. But when he saw the price, Li Fan almost didn't lose his breath. For a high-grade fire orb, the exchange price is 300,000 strands of heavenly Dao merit. This would be considered as selling Li Fan as a whole and couldn't afford it. In desperation, Li Fan went to find the 8th character who to help him make the sound, but this time, Li Fan did not receive any news from him for several days. In the middle of the process, he even asked the 8th character who specifically once, but the other party indicated that he had tried his best to inquire. But after asking countless people, they have never seen such a thing. Li Fan knew that this 5-element spirit orb might not be so easy to find. He didn't have much expectations about this, and the best situation now is to delay more time. I hope that the movement of chasing Sun Palace to conquer the surrounding sect will be slower, so that he can have more time to develop. Withdrawing his thoughts, Li Fan walked out of Sect, first gathered outside Qian Yuanzong, and resolved the weird riot that was about to attack Sect. He came to the Great Hall of the Sect, and rushed to the Taiyan Kim in array with the 700 disciples who had gathered in the Great Hall of the Sect. Li Fan looked at the densely packed demonic beasts outside Qian Yuanzong, and the strange and weird forms exuding the oppressive aura all over his body. He thought about it in his heart. The number of demonic beasts is much larger than that of Ascension during the weird riot last month, and there are probably more than 2,000. The number of weirdness has also quadrupled, reaching as many as 12. But the overall strength is average. There are half of the strangeness in the transmutation realm, and there are 6 of them. The remaining 6 are the weird zombies, and they are not as powerful as the 10 weird zombies that I encountered while on the Guangyang Peak. Sure enough, this was a weird riot under normal conditions, although his strength was much stronger than last time. But it is far faster than his development. Last time it was purely the ghost of the ghost sect. It just so happened to take this opportunity to look at the strength of disciples under his sect and verify the results of their practice these days. Where is Fu Bingying, the sect leader of the Cold Water sect? Li Fan looked at the beasts ahead and said faintly. Subordinates are here. Now in the entire sect, how many disciples have successfully practiced the 2 techniques of Earth Spirit Spike and Earth Spirit Shield? Thanks to sect leader, the 110 inner disciple of Qian Yuanzong all mastered 2 magic techniques. The remaining 600 outer sect disciples, 1/3 of them have enough contribution points to obtain insight opportunities for 2 spells, but the time to practice is decisive and the insight is not yet complete. Li Fan was surprised by Fu Bingying's answer. Qian Yuanzong's inner disciple completely mastered the technique, which he expected. After all, they have been given such good practice resources and opportunities. Medicine pill spirit stones and other practice resources are in charge. They don't need to do anything, just practice with all their strength. In such a situation, if they can't even eat the food delivered to their mouths, then they don't need to practice cultivation, and they will all be able to farm in Sect in the future. However, among the 600 outer Sect disciples who were newly enrolled in the Sect, nearly 200 people have obtained enough contribution points to start practicing 2 7th rank spells. This was beyond his expectation. After all, the rules he set he cleared the most. The exchange price of an insight opportunity for a spell is 100 points Sect contribution, and 2 spells are 200 points Sect contribution. Turning in a swap realm monster core can exchange for 2 Sect contribution points. This is equivalent to a person who wants to practice these 2 magic techniques, and basically has to hand in resources equivalent to 100 monster cores of the transmutation realm. 200 people have handed in resources equivalent to 20,000 monster cores in the swap realm. This is not to mention that some of them have not used them to change spells after they exchanged contribution points. It's in exchange for spirit stones or for something like medicine pill from Ascension cultivation base. Is a Sect's ability to accumulate money so strong? Li Fan's head was buzzed by their abilities. Wouldn't these people strip every inch of land near Qian Yuanzong, or kill nearby demonic beasts? Where can I find so many resources? Li Fan suppressed the fluctuations in his mood and prepared to ask more when he had time. Now it is time for Qian Yuanzong's 110 inner disciples to prove their strength. Called Ren Guan Hengqing 2 people. Li Fan gave his order to the 2. You 2 led all the inner disciple of Qian Yuanzong to kill all the demonic beasts gathered outside Sect. As for those weirdness, don't worry about it, you only need to cut all the demonic beasts. Hearing Li Fan's order, the 600 outer Sect disciples in Qian Yuanzong were in an uproar. How is this possible? It's impossible for 100 people to face 12 weird and 2,000 demonic beasts, and kill all demonic beasts. What a joke. Even if more than 100 have mastered the 2 7th rank spells for inner disciple, it is impossible, the number of them is too far apart. No, maybe it's possible. You see, many of them have reached the peak of the transmutation realm, and Ren Guan Hengqing, both of them have reached the Zhangzong realm. You use your brain, okay, even if there are 2 cultivators in the dirty realm, 100 transmutation realm cultivators can also repel these weirdness in the herd. They are likely to die. The 600 outer Sect disciples were so excited, many of them barely said that Li Fan wanted to send his own disciple to death. But they don't dare to say this directly. After all, as Sect disciples, even if Sect leader's decision is unreasonable, they can't blame their Sect leader. And Li Fan didn't want them to die, so just watch them quietly. Take a look at this powerful person, beheading 10 weird zombies on Guangyang Peak with his own power. And defeated their Wuyangzong 500 disciples, and Wuyangzong Sect leader Song Fu, who had the ability to pass the aperture realm after being alienated. Sect leader Li Fan, who has created a miracle, pay attention to what he is playing. However, the 2 people of Hengqing, Renguan and more than 100 Qianyuanzong inner disciple, everyone's face is full of excitement and can't wait. It seems that this is not for them to fight the herd, but to pick up money. Many of the outer Sect disciples were all at a loss and couldn't understand them for a while. When everyone calmed down, Renguan Hengqing looked at Li Fan and the cupped fist bowed their heads and replied, the disciples will live up to the expectations of Sect leader. Li Fan smiled and nodded, go. 20%. Chapter 52. This is 2 not wanting face. Hengqing and Renguan led the 108 Qianyuanzong inner disciple to the front of Sect. Quietly watching the crowds of weird and demonic beasts that are densely snarled outside Sect. The 2 of Renguan Hengqing stepped out of the Taiyan Strange Gate and came in front of weird and beasts. The raging demonic beasts group watched as the 2 roared and rushed over. But other people did not get out of the Sect array. This made everyone in the Hanshui Sect Wuyang Sect next to him feel a little confused for a while. Why don't they go out? Are they scared? Nonsense. Let you face enemies who are higher than your realm, and whose number is much higher than your own, don't you be afraid. But even if you are afraid, standing like this won't solve the problem. Is it too cold-blooded to watch the 2 cultivators die? More than 100 inner disciple ignored other people's criticism. Instead, they kept accumulating spirit power, staring closely at the 2 Hengqing Renguan who led a large number of demonic beasts to the front of the formation. Renguan Hengqing and the demonic beasts behind him continued to fight, and they retreated. Along the way, some red powdery objects were continuously sprinkled. More than 2,000 demonic beasts were ordered by 12 weird people in the distance. Both opened scarlet eyes that had lost their reason, and sprayed out a scorching mist. He rushed to the two with an oath to crush all the creatures in front of him. At this moment, Hengqing and Rengguan finally escaped back into the big formation. 2,000 demonic beasts roared and constantly attacked the large array in front of them. It's at this moment, let go. Hengqing shouted. The large film contains the dark yellow sharp spirit power of the violent spirit power. The soil thorns cover the sky and the earth, passing through the large array as if nothing, without a trace of obstruction, and directly fell into the turbulent herd in front of the large array. Flutter, flutter, flutter. The sound of flesh and blood being cut came to everyone's ears. A large bouquet of blood splashed all over the floor. Demonic beasts, who lost their minds, are like mature wheat, and they have reached the end of their lives and fell before the next big battle. An overwhelming round of earth and thorn attacks harvested the lives of hundreds of demonic beasts. As for the demonic beasts on the outer layer of the herd, they didn't know what the fear was, and they continued to step on the corpse of the demonic beasts ahead and rush forward. The second round, ready to release. As soon as the voice fell, another piece of demonic beasts fell down in a roar. Put, put, put. After 5 full rounds of attacks, all the spirit power of the 110 inner disciple of Qian Yuanzong was exhausted. In exchange, more than 500 demonic beasts turned into icy corpses. From Hengqing and Rengguan, 2 people leading demonic beasts to the front, to 500 demonic beasts turned into corpses. Only 10 minutes passed. There were more than 600 outer sect disciples in Qian Yuanzong, all of them boiled over. What's the matter? Can you still operate like this? FK, our sect array can be opened unilaterally. Attacks from the inside can penetrate the array unhindered, but attacks from the outside can't get in. Isn't this invincible anymore? This way of fighting is too not wanting face, I really like it. I don't know if you have noticed that Rengguan Hengqing seems to have dropped something outside just now. Those demonic beasts are completely out of control, and even the weirdness behind them can't control them. Don't be happy too early. Now demonic beasts is less than a quarter, but the spirit power of those more than 100 people has been exhausted. Don't forget that the spirit power consumed by spells is very scary. Yeah, what to do later? Are you going to fight at close range? Probably, but when spirit power is exhausted, it's useless to fight at close range, and even if the demonic beasts group is less than a quarter, it is 15 times the number of more than 100 inner disciples. Fu Bingying was also unbelievable. She didn't know that she could attack in this way. But she didn't expect that the attack from within Qian Yuanzong's great formation could actually pass through the formation without hindrance. Fighting in front of such a big formation is invincible in itself. And those demonic beasts, who suddenly rushed forward like crazy somehow. While everyone was waiting to see how these inner disciples would respond, they all took out a medicine pill and swallowed them in their abdomen. After medicine pill, the pale complexion of Hengqing Rengguan and others instantly turned rosy, and the spirit power in the body recovered in a few breaths. Continue. The two shouted, and the sharp spirit power soil thorns condensed again in their hands. Li Fan looked at the inner disciple under the leadership of Ren and Guan, and nodded in an orderly manner. After all, he didn't waste so much effort and resources to train them. He was quite satisfied with this battle, it was quite satisfactory. Everything is expected. An hour passed in a flash. The army of demonic beasts that had originally gathered outside Sect was densely packed, but now there are only a dozen scattered. Surrounded by the 12 weird bodies. Seeing such a situation, Li Fan prepared to speak and call the inner disciple back. They have completed their mission, and the weirdos will not attack like demonic beasts who have lost their minds stimulated by monster core. It is unpredictable, weird and terrifying. But there is a certain degree of discipline and reason. The rest should be handed over to his sect leader to deal with it, just to harvest the merits quickly and continue to practice. However, after seeing that demonic beasts had been all killed by them, Hengqing and Hengqing walked out of the sect array with more than 100 disciples. Seeing this scene, Li Fan's eyes flickered. What do they want to do? Li Fan was puzzled. Split a team of 10 people. Keep a distance of about 10 meters between each team. Be careful not to spread too much. Hengqing roared. The neatly organized brigade of 100 people dispersed into 10-man squads in an instant. Everyone moved forward slowly, reaching a position 100 meters in front of the 12 weird people before they could stop. Spirit Soil Thorn, get up! Everyone shouted, and a large number of spiritual soil thorns shot at the 12 weird ones. The large tracts of spiritual soil thorns were blocked by a few weird people in front of them. Only a few of the blood-changing realms were weird and were stabbed by the spiritual soil. The effect of this round of attacks is very small. The strangers who were attacked, seeing that everyone dared to step out of the big formation, one after another made strange screams and attacked everyone at Hengqing. The jet black light covered Qian Yuanzong disciples, and the 6 weird rushed over afterward. Spirit Earth Shield, get up. Hengqing's voice came out, and everyone changed their formations to prop up the khaki shield wall. In the 10-person team, 5 of them propped up an airtight shield wall all around. The 4 of them are constantly condensing spiritual soil thorns, waiting for the weird to rush forward. Covered with black light, the tough spiritual earth shield made a hissing sound. As if it was corroded by sulfuric acid, thick smoke came out, but it was not broken. The thick smoke has not yet dissipated, and the 6 weird ones follow. One of the strangers pounced forward, and his fierce attack instantly smashed the spiritual shield of a 10-man team. Faced with the weird and powerful attack, everyone looked a little nervous. At the moment when the spiritual soil shield was broken, the 4 members of the team gathered for a long time and rushed out of the spiritual soil spur. Hit the weird face directly. Facing an attack from the spiritual soil thorns close at hand, Weird had no time to evade, and did not evade. The weird and hideous claws pierced the heads of the 4 people standing side by side inside the team. Want to crush their heads in one blow. At this moment, the last person in the team stood up and held up the last spiritual shield to block the strange attack. Boom. Click. 2 voices resounded in the surroundings one after the other. The 4 roots are 5 meters long, and the stump-like thick dark yellow soil thorns penetrate the team in front of the team. And the weird attack instantly broke the spiritual earth shield supported by the 5th disciple. But the spirit earth shield also fulfilled its mission. Take advantage of the moment when the weird attack is blocked. 10 people dispersed in an instant, and spirit power burst out of the strange attack range. Even after hitting 4 7-rank magic spells, the strange soil thorns attacked, and they were knocked out on the spot. Seeing it is impossible to live. The 10-man team was slightly embarrassed, but was not injured. The crowd continued to swallow another yuan return pill. The spirit power in the body quickly recovers. Then 10 people carefully pushed forward in the weird direction of being knocked into the air. When he came to Weird, he watched the weird and shattered body being quickly repaired by the dense fog. The 10-person team took out the long sword at the waist and stab at the weird. Take advantage of his illness and kill him. The weird body that was on the verge of shattering was powerless to resist, and after a while the whole body fell to the ground and dissipated completely. This situation happened throughout the battlefield. Everyone relied on 2 7-rank spells to wipe out the 6 weirdness in just one round. And almost no damage occurred. Except for the 2 disciples who supported the shield at the critical moment, it was too late to retreat at the moment when the spiritual earth shield shattered. Wounded by a weird attack, but there is no life worry. No one else was injured. This is simply a miracle. After destroying the 6 weirdness, more than 100 disciples gathered together in a square array. Some people are responsible for setting up a spiritual shield to resist the remaining weird long-range attacks. And the other part is responsible for condensing the thorns of the spiritual soil and the weirdness on the opposite side, and launching the remote consumption of you and me. Qian Yuanzong's inner disciple with a large number of Wei Yuan pills in his hands, spirit power swayed like no money. One after another, the thorns of the spiritual soil were shot out continuously. On the one hand, the spiritual soil escape was continuously shattered by weird attacks, and continued to condense. The fierce battle lasted for a while. The remaining 6 weird finally fell before the endless spiritual soil thorns. Everyone advances carefully checking whether there are any fish that have slipped through the net. When I met the undead demonic beasts and weirdness, I drew out the long sword in my hand and cut them to death. A weird riot that usually caused headaches and fears. It was completely resolved by the 110 inner disciple of Qian Yuanzong. Did not cause any waves. The 2 of Ren Guan Hengqing led everyone to clean the battlefield and return to the sect formation. The 2 of them bowed to cupped fist on one knee and saluted, and said in a deep voice, "Return to sect leader, and live up to the life of sect leader. All demonic beasts and weirdness will be punishable." Li Fan smiled and lifted the 2 up, and said to the disciples in front of them, "Thanks for your hard work, you have done a good job." Afterwards, more than 600 disciples in sect burst into cheers. 20%. Chapter 53 Uninvited Guest. Li Fan looked at the disciples in front of him, feeling deeply moved. Originally, he just wanted to see their progress during this period of time, so he gave them the task of destroying the herd. But he didn't think too much, just thinking that he could kill the crowd more than half of the beasts under the weirdness, even if he met his expectations. But he really didn't expect that these Qianyuanzong inner disciple could directly solve this weird riot. When the herd was completely wiped out by them, he had planned to directly kill the remaining weirdness. It seems that he is not the only one who has improved during this time. All the disciples of Qian Yuanzong are also struggling to practice. Li Fan looked at the two Ren Guan Hengqing in front of him, and said with satisfaction, "You did a good job this time." After speaking, he raised his head and looked at the more than 100 inner disciple behind them. "You have done a good job in eradicating the weird riots. All inner disciple will be rewarded with a magical item of the 7th stage." "Thanks, sect leader," the disciples shouted with joy on their faces. Asking all the disciples to go back and continue to practice well, Li Fan walked back to the great hall of the sect, sat on the chair and looked at the prompt sound from the system just now during the battle. A ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a 100-fold increase and gaining heavenly Dao merit 1200. A ding. Congratulations to sect leader for gaining a 100-fold increase and gaining heavenly Dao merit 600. Li Fan glanced at the system's prompts, and had a bottoming in his heart. Among them, 1,200 strands of heavenly Dao merit were provided to him by the 6 weird viscera-raising realms. Those 600 wisps of heavenly Dao merits were provided to him by the remaining 6 weird transmutation realms. Before, he thought that only by killing the weird with his own hands could he gain merit. Unexpectedly, when the sect disciple killed the weirdness, he would also be rewarded with the merit of the sect leader. With the speed of sect's development, there is no doubt that you can get a large ascension. These disciples have grown extremely fast under the supply of a large amount of cultivation resources, and now they can fight against weirdness without relying on him as the sect leader. Waiting for some time, after everyone's cultivation base realm reascension, together with those 600 new entry outer sect disciples, they will also fully master the 2 7th rank spells. He can start to refine a large number of monster cores and give them to them, let them go to the mist outside sect to lure and kill the weirdness. At that time, he will be able to have a lot of continuous merits into the account, far more efficient than ascension alone. Now let's deal with the rewards promised to these inner disciples first. Li Fan opened the trading house and bought 110 magical item imperial sword in the hands of one of them named sect leader. This directly cost him more than 20,000 spirit stones, and a 7-rank magical item Yushu sword costs the price of 200 spirit stones. This is really a huge profit. With a sigh, Li Fan thought that there would be many disciples who would change to higher grade magical items in the future. So I spent another 5,000 spirit stones directly at the trading house and bought 2 forging drawings of the 7th rank magical item. Once you have the forging drawings, you can pass them directly to Hengqing to learn refining later. Anyway, sect spirit mines are abundant, so you can save a lot more by refining it yourself than buying it outside. Suddenly, he still has 300,000 spirit stones left in his hand, plus there are 2 spirit mines in Anlong Valley that can be exchanged for a large number of spirit stones. But there is still saving, and there are too many places where spirit stones are needed in future practice. Practitioners have 4 most important things: the land of Dharma and wealth. Among them, the word fortune ranks 2nd, which is not unimportant. After processing the rewards, Li Fan felt a little itchy. Seeing that there were 1,800 more merit points in his hand, he wanted to buy the 3rd-rank martial skill point Kang knife that he had seen a few days ago. He has been greedy for this thing for a long time. But before Li Fan sinks, he enters the Great Hall of the Starry Sky. A disciple of the Cold Water Sect, who was arranged by him to observe the movement around sect outside sect, came to Li Fan in a panic. To sect leader that there are a large number of cultivators coming to our Qian Yuanzong from outside sect. There are more than 1,000 people. Realm is good. It seems that they should be people who chase the Sun Palace. Li Fan heard the words of the disciple in front of him, with an expression of Ji Yu Jing Wubo. Well, I see, gather all the disciples to wait before the sect formation. I didn't expect to come so fast. I thought I would make some small moves like the ghost sect. It seems that he should be extremely confident of own strength, Li Fan thought with his eyes flashing. Ever since he heard Fu Bingying mention the 3-sect alliance on Guangyang Peak, he knew that there would be such a day sooner or later. So when he heard what the disciple said just now, he instantly reflected that it should be Ji Wu, the leader of the 3-sect alliance, who brought the people over. This is nothing surprising. However, he didn't expect that the sun-chasing palace moved so fast. Wu Yangzong was just destroyed by him, and the chasing sun palace was newly promoted to the 7th rank sect. According to the normal situation, Ji Woo, the sect leader of the sun-chasing palace, should first annex the remaining Sun Alliance of the three-sect alliance, and then trouble him. It is useless to think more, so it is better to go directly to see the leader of this so-called three-sect alliance, where sacred is. Before the Taiyan strange gate, a middle-aged man with a majestic face led thousands of fierce cultivators behind him, facing the 700 disciples of Qian Yuanzong. A person stood behind the middle-aged man and spoke to the Qian Yuanzong disciple. Hurry up and open the big formation and ask your sect leader to come out to welcome us to chase the Sun Palace Lord. Everyone in Qian Yuanzong looked at him quietly, without any movement. The person behind the middle-aged man looked unhappy when he saw the other person's indifferent appearance. Then he opened his mouth and said, "Little 8-rank sect is so ignorant of etiquette. He is really a group of people from the mountain village." Looking at the inexplicable people in front of them, Qian Yuanzong disciples gathered together and chatted. "Who is this guy? You have a brain disease, let sect leader come out to meet them. Isn't this nonsense what you're talking about? Would a normal person come to your door and ask you to open the door? Sect doesn't say to hand in the greeting card in advance. A sneaky look is not a good thing. This person is really not wanting face ranting there, dare to insult our Qian Yuanzong, I want to tear his mouth. Shish, don't make any noise when sect leader comes, listen to what sect leader says." Seeing Li Fan coming, the Qian Yuanzong disciples scattered to both sides and made way for him. When the middle-aged man outside the big formation saw Li Fan, he finally made a faint voice with a majestic voice, "Your Excellency must be the sect leader of Qian Yuanzong, it is really handsome and handsome." Li Fan glanced at the middle-aged man, "Don't dare to be, I haven't asked your name yet." Chasing Sun Palace Lord Ji Woo. Qian Yuanzong Li Fan. After introducing the name taboo, Li Fan stood quietly and had no plans to invite people into the clan. Ji Woo waited for a long time, but when Li Fan didn't move, he smiled indifferently. Then his eyes flashed, staring at Li Fan and said, "This time I came to ask Li sect leader one thing. I don't know if Song Fu sect leader of the Three Sects Alliance was murdered by sect leader Li." 21%. Chapter 54. Finally reached the point, Li Fan said in his heart. Li Fan looked at Ji Woo with a calm face. Ji sect leader's words are bad, so Song Fu has seen me on Guangyang Peak before. This person has swallowed a weird heart, fell into an evil way, and killed Wuyongzong sect disciple. I really didn't see that the Wuyong sect disciples were harmed by him, so I took the initiative to send him out. People from both the Wuyong sect and Hanshui sect can testify about this matter, and there is no such thing as undermining. As soon as the voice fell, Fu Bingying and Wu Yangzong disciples behind Li Fan spoke. Li sect leader's words are true, that Song Fu has indeed turned into an evil demon, and Li sect leader is only acting for the sky. Ji Woo's expression remained unchanged, and he didn't say much. Behind him just now laughed at the people of Qian Yuanzong and said, "You and other Wuyongzong disciples actually helped those who killed your sect leader to quibble. A group of people who deceived their masters and destroyed their ancestors have not pleaded guilty." Hearing this, Fu Bingying stepped forward and wanted to speak, but Li Fan reached out and stopped her. "I'm talking to you sect leader, how can you open your mouth? Just now you said that my Qian Yuanzong is a small 8th grade sect, and sect is a group of people from the mountains and villages. Ji sect leader is a dignified sect master. He actually taught you such a thing of respect and inferiority." As soon as the voice fell, Li Fan stepped forward slightly. 3 roads full of violent spirit power, more than 10 meters long earth spirit spurs rushed towards this person. This person looked at the oncoming spell, his whole body was locked for a while, and he couldn't move. "I was shocked in a cold sweat, sect leader, save me." Humph. Ji Woo snorted coldly, raising his hands to easily turn the 3 violent soil spirit thorns into nothingness. "Li sect leader is a bit too much," Ji Woo said with a gloomy expression. Acting in front of his facing his subordinates, treating him as nothing is tantamount to hitting him in the face. Li Fan was shocked when he saw Ji Woo raise his hand and easily block the 7-rank spell spiritual soil spike he had displayed. He just took this opportunity to test the depth of Ji Woo. Unexpectedly, the gap was so big. The spells that he used with all his strength could not make him panic at all. Li Fan felt a little drumming in his heart, feeling that he should not be Ji Woo's opponent. Even if he used supernatural powers, the result might not be very good. But he wasn't too worried. After all, Qian Yuanzong's great formation could only be broken through the Dao realm cultivator above the martial realm. This Ji-woo has just promoted the Chasing Sun Palace to the 7th rank sect, and his strength is no more than Guanli. It's not unmatched. Trying to stabilize the tumbling mood, Li Fan smiled slightly. I saw this person just ignoring G sect leader's face and ranting without permission. I just don't see G sect leader's reputation, it's affected by such a person. Ji-woo also smiled faintly. Sect leader has bothered with Lao Li, but it is right and wrong. My 3 sect alliances have always been in the same spirit. Since you killed Song Fu sect leader, please follow me back to the Sun Palace to clarify the facts in front of the 3 sect alliances. At that time, I will verify with justice. If Song Fu sect leader really turns into a demon as you said, then I will definitely return your innocence. But before I was wronged, your excellency came with me, so that I could have an explanation to the people under my sect. A sect master in my 3 sects alliance can't just die. At the last sentence, Ji-woo put away his smile and turned cold. At this time, an old man beside Ji-woo came out. It was sect leader Manhwa from the Heavenly Alliance of the 3 Sects Alliance. This person cupped fist bowed his head and filled with outrage. Leader Ji, I have been good friends with Song Fu sect leader. Song sect leader must have been killed. At first, I heard Song sect leader say that he had received help from the bitch Fu Bingying, sect leader of the Cold Water sect. In order to help them resist the weirdness, I led the disciples to Guangyang Peak. Song sect leader's death is inseparable from Fu Bingying and others. I think it was the slut of the Cold Water sect who united with the weird and harmed Song sect leader. And the disciples of Wu Yongzong must have betrayed Song sect leader at that time, which led to Song sect leader's death. The chief of the league will take the Hanshui sect and Wu Yong sect together for interrogation. Please, the leader must be the master of the dead Song sect leader. Ji-woo faintly lifted Manhwa, staring at Li Fan without saying a word. At this time, the Wu Yong sect disciples behind Li Fan felt nauseous and clamor arose. When Song Fu was alive, I didn't see how good you were with him. On the contrary, your Tianri League is running against our Wu Yong sect, wishing to swallow all of our Wu Yong sect. It's disgusting to run over and pretend to be a good person. Ji-woo and the old man Manhwa completely pretended not to hear them, and waited for Li Fan's reply. Li Fan saw their real purpose at this time, and didn't bother to pretend to agree. To put it bluntly, you just want to bring me back to your turf. By then, it will be up to you to say whether it is white or black. I have more than 700 people from Qianyuanzong. You want us to give up resistance and open up the Great Formation, and more than 600 people are taken away by you to wait for you to send off. Why don't you tell me, just let me disband Qianyuanzong and seek refuge with you to chase the Sun Palace? I just want to ask, do you want a face? Hearing this, Manhwa couldn't help but angered and said, Wonko children know what is right and wrong. I think you combined with the slut of Hanshui sect and the traitors of Wu Yong sect to kill Song Fu sect leader. Seeing that our leader welcomes you into sect without saying anything, please bow your head and admit your mistakes. I even dare to believe in slurs and talk nonsense. I really don't know how to live or die. You, a little cultivator, dare to be presumptuous. Ji-woo didn't stop Manhwa's anger, but looked at Li Fan with a cold expression. Good, good, good. After all, don't you say it again. Any shit is not as important as the level of strength. Don't you just think that my Qianyuanzong's strength is not as good as yours, so you dare to talk nonsense with an old face. Li Fan looked at Manhwa and couldn't help but smile. Ji-woo stopped the pale Manhwa and said impatiently, okay, don't talk nonsense. Remember that you are young and I will not pursue those words you just said for the time being. Now I give you 2 choices. 1. You and everyone from Hanshui sect and Wu Yong sect will go back with me. The people of Hanshui sect and those traitors of Wu Yong sect have to pay for the dead Song. As for you, self-defeating cultivation base knelt on the Guangyang Peak, wearing sackcloth and filial piety to guard Song Fu's spirit for 7 days. I will give you a way out in 7 days. 2. Go to war with my 3 alliances. The whole Qianyuanzong chicken and dog will not stay. More than 1,000 cultivators behind Ji-woo shouted. Avenge Song sect leader. Quickly get out of Fei cultivation base, kneel down and admit your mistakes. Take all the bitches of the Cold Water sect, and kneel on the Guangyang Peak together with the sect leader Li Fan of Qianyuanzong to guard the sect leader of the Song dynasty. 21%. Chapter 55. Fight if you want to fight. The faces of Fu Bingying and the many female disciples of the Hanshui school in Qianyuan sect were flushed with anger. The other disciples of Qianyuanzong were also filled with righteous indignation and shouted at the people in the chasing palace. I want to abolish all my disciples in cultivation base and kill them all. Humiliated my affiliated sect Cold Water Sect, and strip them naked and let them kneel down to admit their mistakes. Let me at my own expense, cultivation base kneeling on the Guangyang Peak, and filial piety for Song Fu. Ha, ha ha ha. Li Fan seemed to hear some big joke. He, who has always been calm, couldn't help but smirk with anger at this time. If you want to fight, then fight. Li Fan shouted. Following this, with more than 700 disciples of Qian Yuanzong behind, everyone burst out with a terrifying roar. War, 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 especially the 110 inner disciple who just defeated the weird riot. Everyone is gearing up. Just waiting for Li Fan to give an order, the earth spirit thorns secretly condensed in his hand were about to attack the opponent. Ji Wu said solemnly, I don't know whether to live or die, come on. Then a brass mirror was sacrificed, and his hands were pinched. The dim yellow mirror shot out a turbulent beam of light and hit Qian Yuanzong's large array. Everyone in the Chasing Sun Palace Tianri League also took out their magical items and slashed towards the big formation. Light waves circulated on the Taiyan Kimen Great Array, steadily blocking the mighty beam of light and all attacks. There was not even a ripple on the light blue light curtain of the large array. Everyone in Qian Yuanzong saw this scene, and their hearts were settled. Although they shouted domineering slogans just now, after all, Ji Wu is a cultivator of Guanli realm, with high strength. There are thousands of realm behind him or all on the peak of the transmutation realm. There are even hundreds of cultivators that raise viscera. They don't know whether the big array can block so many attacks. Unexpectedly, my own sect array was so fierce, and countless attacks rained down like raindrops, and it didn't make the array turbulent at all. Kill. More than 100 inner disciples of Qian Yuanzong were boiling. Hundreds of earth spirit thorns passed through the large array and rushed to everyone outside the array. The other outer sect disciples can't do spells, so they can only stare at them dryly. Everyone in Hanshui sect Wuyang sect felt very embarrassed in an instant. The violent spiritual soil thorns hit, and everyone in the Chasing Palace hauled up spirit power to resist. But the 7th rank spell is so easy to block, before it was Ji Wu realm is much higher than Li Fan. In order to easily resolve the spiritual soil thorns with a wave of hands. This time it was the turn of these cultivators to change the blood, and immediately made them feel the pressure. The cultivator was knocked into the air by the magical item in the hand by the great force of the spiritual soil thorn one by one. Some people were even stabbed directly through the body by a huge soil, splashing blood on the spot. But fortunately, there are many disciples in the Chasing Palace, and there are also many cultivators for cultivating viscera. However, Qian Yuanzong only had more than 100 disciples who could perform spells. So even though there was some reluctance, everyone could work together to block the spiritual soil thorn. Unprepared for this round, more than 20 disciples in the Chasing Sun Palace were pierced to the ground by sharp soil thorns, and died. Ji Wu also looked surprised. Unexpectedly, the Qian Yuanzong's great formation was so strong, and I couldn't shake it even with a full blow from the 5th rank spiritual weapon of my Guanli realm. This is the 6th rank big formation. This is the 6th rank big formation that can withstand Dao realm attacks. Thinking of this, Ji Wu knew that with people like them, it was impossible to break through this large formation in a short time. But there was a hint of joy on his face. The brass mirror in Ji Wu's hand flashed into the sky, piercing the sky full of spiritual soil from the 2nd round of lacing. Hurriedly shouted, "Wait!" Li Fan and the people of Qian Yuanzong didn't care what he wanted, and continued to condense the spirit soil to attack each other. Anyway, you can't fight in, so you don't want to kill a few more people while you are in front of the big formation, and how to fight after you run away. Especially Li Fan, when he saw the brilliant brass mirror in Ji Wu's hand, he had a thought in his heart. Can't you block it? I will smash your spiritual weapon to see what you can block. Yu Qing began to clear. The true talisman told the alliance. Move the second C, mix one into reality. 5 thunders and 5 thunders, anxious to meet Huang Ning. Encountered changes, roaring lightning fast. The sound is coming, and the sound of the sun will be heard quickly. 2 successive cyan thunders containing supreme majesty fell from the sky. He slashed straight on top of Ji Wu's head. When Ji Wu saw such a vast and violent blue thunder and lightning, he was shocked with a cold sweat behind his back. I wanted to dodge, but found that the chi machine was firmly locked, and there was nowhere to escape. With a heart burst, he sacrificed the treasure mirror in his hand and released a beam of light, forcibly against the sky thunder. The violent thunder smashed the beam of light rising up into the sky inch by inch, and finally landed straight on the dim yellow mirror held high by Ji Woo, turning it into dust. Ji Woo saw the treasure mirror shattered, stirring spirit power with one hand, clenching a fist and slamming into the sky. After a few breaths, the sky covered by dark clouds cleared up. The two cyan thunders also completely dissipated. Ji Woo's body was dark after being split, and his hair stood up into explosive heads. But there was nothing serious. Ji Woo coughed and vomited a mouthful of blood. The spirit power shook his whole body, and the necrotic and dark skin on his body slowly fell off. Exposed the fair skin underneath. After turning around and swallowing a medicine pill, his complexion improved a lot. The invincible magical powers mastered the five thunders, and for the first time was completely easily blocked by someone. Seeing this scene, Li Fan felt disappointed. Although he already knew that with his current realm, wanting to use the five thunder supernatural powers to cross two realms to kill Ji Woo was purely a dream. But even if it can't be killed, even if it is seriously injured. Unexpectedly, the other party was only slightly injured. Ji Woo, who was smashed into pieces by the thunder, was frightened and angry. Li Fan still hid such a hand before he arrived first. Fortunately, On Baojing blocked a lot of attacks. And the difference between Li Fan and his realm is too big, otherwise he will be chopped into pieces like the treasure mirror when the two thunders come down. He roared crazy in his heart, why a small 8th-rank sect, a mere cultivator can have so many treasures. It's the 6th-rank great formation again, and it's a heaven-defying magic technique. And I have to waste 10 years in the Tongqiao realm, and finally I have to work for the Purity Palace for a small broken mirror pill. Why, these treasures, these opportunities should be mine. This Qian Yuanzong simply does not deserve to have such opportunities. Yes, this time he led everyone to attack Qian Yuanzong, not just his own idea. It's just a little Song Fu, and he's dead. What's the matter with him? The three-sect alliance was originally just a force he established to gather resources and break through the realm of force. This force has completed its mission, and he has broken through to the state of Guanli, although not because of the three sects alliance. But that was enough. After he learned the news that Wuyang sect was destroyed, he immediately conquered the Tianri League and his subsidiary sect, and expanded the power of the sun-chasing palace several times. Originally, he planned to digest the fruits of his harvest, and stabilize the sun-chasing palace, which was expanding too fast, before making plans. Wait until Sect has completely digested the resources of several newly annexed sects and turned the acquired resources into strength. Chasing the Sun Palace will continue to expand its territory and slowly conquer the 100,000-mile Kanglan region. At the end, even the only 6th-rank sect Purity Palace in the Kanglan region, it is not impossible to fight. It's a pity that he bought the breakthrough pill that could help him break through to the realm of strength a month ago. He agreed to help Qingjing Palace to find a missing mysterious stone slab. And that slate, according to the people from Qingjing Palace, was acquired by Qian Yuanzong. With the current strength of chasing Sun Palace, he couldn't turn his face to reject their request, and could only forcefully attack Qian Yuanzong when he was not stable yet. I was thinking of an 8th-rank sect, but I wouldn't waste anything. But I didn't expect this to be the 6th-rank great formation, and it was also an outrageously powerful Sky Thunder spell. Let his plan fall through. However, if he can get this big formation and magic skills in his hands, he won't be afraid even if he comes to the Pure Palace. And with such a big formation, the Purity Palace is tens of thousands of miles away from the Chasing Palace, and they will not be able to threaten themselves at all for a while. When I have a chance for stable development, I can achieve my purpose faster. As for the mysterious slate, why don't you give it to them? These things and treasures will be their own. All kinds of thoughts were constantly surging in Ji Woo's heart. If the state is crazy, Ji Woo said with a sullen face and a hoarse voice, Li Sect leader, it won't work for you and me to fight like this. Although your spells are powerful, your strength is too weak to pose a threat to me at all. Although I can't break your big formation temporarily, I will take people away from the edge of the big formation 500 meters away. People like you and your disciples can't attack us at all. And we can always be around you Sect, and I can even relocate the sun-chasing palace. For all of you Qianyuanzong all the time, as long as any of you leaves the sect formation, I can kill them. Having said that, Ji Woo stopped. Li Fan waved his hand to stop the inner disciple who wanted to continue to condense the assault. He asked, so, what do you want to say? Let me obediently surrender. I don't plan to do this. If you want to fight, then fight. You can surround us, but as long as you are not there, I will kill all of you bit by bit. Except for you, no one can block my spells. You must be optimistic about your disciples. Ji Wu's face turned white and red, and he was silent for a long while. He can't wait now. Once the Qing Palace will react. He hadn't gotten the slate for so long, and they discovered that Qian Yuanzong had the 6th rank formation. All the opportunities of Qian Yuanzong will leave him. After pondering for a while, Ji Wu took out a piece of paper containing the power of heavenly Tao, and said, "It's better to make a sect bet." What? Li Fan couldn't understand Ji Wu's meaning and murmured. Fu Bingying, who was next to her, saw the yellow paper that Ji Wu had taken out, and spoke for Li Fan to explain. A sect gambling contract is a gambling rule between two sects, and then the gambling rule is imprinted on the yellow paper of the heavenly Tao contract with the spirit, and the agreement will be established. Once the gambling contract is established, it will be subject to the heavenly Tao rules. Once someone violates the heavenly Tao rules, the power of the rules will be reduced to annihilate the breaching party. After listening to Fu Bingying's explanation, Li Fan recalled. Isn't this the kind of rules of the system trading house? The two seem to be. Smash it, Li Fan said solemnly. What do you want to bet on? 21%. Chapter 56 Sect Gamble. Listening to Li Fan's indifferent voice, Ji Wu was in ecstasy. I don't know the height of the sky and the earth, but it's just luck that he has some chances, and he really thinks it won't be possible to win against me. When the gambling contract is established, you will have plenty of opportunities, and the potential will not escape my hands. When the time comes, everything you have is a wedding dress made for me. I will use your 6th rank and Supreme Thunder method to establish my position as the #1 sect in the Kanglan domain. Thinking of this, Ji Wu couldn't wait to say the betting agreement and the bet, for fear that Li Fan would regret it. It's very simple. There are 3 rules for betting. 1. Each of our 2 sects will send a disciple to a duel, regardless of strength, realm, magical item rank. As long as the opponent can be defeated, this first match is considered a victory. 2. Each of the 2 sects send 10 disciples to fight in groups without any restrictions. As long as you can defeat the disciple sent by the opponent sect. Ji Wu said that there was a trace of viciousness in his eyes, and then immediately said the 3rd rule. 3. You and I are the 2 sect leaders in a decisive battle, as long as they can defeat the opponent. 3 rules, 2 wins in 3 games. Li Fan looked at Ji Wu's gambling rules that are completely conducive to chasing Sun Palace, and didn't care at all but asked indifferently. What about the stakes? It's very simple. The loser becomes the sect affiliate of the other party and signs the sect contract. Li Fan, who got the answer, didn't respond, and stood still without saying a word, as if frightened. But Ji Wu's words caused a tumult in the audience. The disciples who chased the Sun Palace and the Gan Wagu of the Tianri League looked at Li Fan with a playful expression. They have no chance of losing in this gambling fight. On the other hand, Qian Yuanzong disciples seemed to be fried. Becoming an affiliate of the opponent sect, which is equivalent to giving the opponent control of own life. Once you lose, your own life and death will fall between the thoughts of others. Moreover, the sun-chasing palace wanted to swallow Qian Yuanzong, but also to abolish all of them and the sect disciples in cultivation base. Therefore, it is not so much to become the other party's subsidiary sect, it is better to say that as long as they lose, they will be sentenced to death for these Qian Yuanzong disciples. Everyone in Qian Yuanzong immediately discussed the feasibility of starting a gambling battle. What? With this rule set, how can we sect win the sun-chasing house? Why can't you win? Don't forget how we sect's inner disciple smashed 2,000 demonic beasts and 12 weird ones during the previous weird riots. What you are talking about is the magic of more than 100 disciples who cooperated with sect's big formation. How can it be possible to win the official battle? You see that there are over 1,000 disciples in the sun-chasing palace, hundreds of disciples in the Zhangzheng realm, among them there are 3 realm masters who are close to the peak of the Zhang realm. Only the 3 disciples who raise the top of the dirty realm are not inferior to our Li Fan sect leader. There is no disciple in the Qian Yuanzong family that can compare to these 3. So this first single-player competition will undoubtedly lose. There is also Ji Wu's strength. Realm is a Guanli cultivator, a movement technique is powerful, just now it can hardly hold 2 sky thunders without any damage. That is our sect leader's most powerful technique. It can't be seriously injured. How can sect leader win the 3rd matchup? Yes, in this way, 2 of the 3 competitions will undoubtedly be lost. We can only win 1 city at most with 10 players. This is terrible. What 2? Do you think you can win a 10-man matchup? Don't forget that the 3 masters of the dirt-raising realm peak can also continue to join the 10-man matchup after participating in the single-player duel. Ah, isn't this a losing situation? This absolutely cannot promise him. Yes, so even if we go to full-scale war with this chasing Sun Palace, we can't agree to the gambling fight of the other side. There is still a silver lining to the fight. If you agree to a gambling fight, you will undoubtedly die. Looking at the frightened and worried faces of the people of Qian Yuanzong, Jiwu smiled in his heart. How can a group of trash compare with his disciples who chased the Sun Palace? He was determined to win the bet. The only premise is that Li Fan has to agree to it. After the trial just now, he discovered that Qian Yuanzong sect leader Li Fan was extremely confident and arrogant. This gambling fight is likely to be agreed by the other party. That's right, he became a sect leader of the 8-rank sect at such a young age. He also obtained a powerful thunder method comparable to the punishment of heaven, and Sect also has the 6th-ranked guardian. This is indeed worthy of his pride. However, this Li Fan is still too tender, even though he has unlimited potential now. But potential is only potential after all, and has not yet turned into real strength. In the face of absolute strength, as long as death, no matter what you have monstrous talents, it is just a bubble that can be touched and burst. After waiting for a long time and didn't hear Li Fan's answer, Jiwu was a little panicked. Seeing Li Fan's thoughtful expression on the ground, Jiwu said, "Why, where is the unstoppable Li sect leader who wants to fight with me just now? Have you been scared? The words I just said have been left behind, and now I am too scared to speak. If this is the case, it is not difficult for me to do it for you. I can relax the previous conditions a bit. As long as you hand over your sect formation and the cultivation technique of Thunder Technique, and then personally abolish the bitch Fu Binggying of the Cold Water sect and hand it over to me for processing. Then abolish the cultivation base and knelt on Guangyang Peak to guard Song sect leader's spirit for 7 days. I can spare your life, the traitors of Wuyang sect, I won't pursue them anymore, and the others in your Qianyuan sect can also live." As soon as she said this, Fu Binggying's pretty face was covered with murderous intent. The ice blue long sword in her hand also hummed, as if Jiwu would be cut into rotten flesh in the next second. Fu Binggying laughed at herself, feeling deeply sad. She thinks Li Fan is likely to make such a decision. As long as she is handed over, and cultivation base is abolished, all Qian Yuanzong's lives can be kept alive. Even if you suffer all the insults, lose your heart, and abolish the cultivation base, you still have hope in everything alive. The cultivation base can be repaired if it is scrapped. Li Fan is still young and he can have a comeback. In the face of this mortal desperation, although this transaction is extremely costly, it seems that it has become the best choice. But that's okay, at least those disciples of the Cold Water sect can survive. As the sect leader of the Cold Water sect, it is her greatest wish to lead these disciples under her to live. This is also considered a best effort. Fu Binggying's clear and beautiful face showed a trace of sorrow, and her eyes were slightly red. But in an instant, the misty eyes became firm again, as if they had made the decision to exchange her life for everyone in the Cold Water sect. She stared at Li Fan in a daze, with red lips slightly opening. "Sect leader." The rest was interrupted directly by Li Fan before he could exit. Li Fan, who stood still in a daze for a long time, suddenly recovered. A cold smile appeared on the corner of Li Fan's mouth, and he sighed in his heart. "King Yama told you to die for the 3rd watch, who dares to keep you until the 5th watch? Jiwu, it seems that the sky is not busy with you. I took this gambling fight. 22%. Chapter 57. Turn around. What? Why did sect leader agree to him? How could this happen? This is a losing situation. Sect leader is still too young to bear the provocations of those chasing Sun Palace. Oh, the road to practice cannot be based on a momentary struggle of will." As soon as Li Fan's voice fell, there was a tumult in Qian Yuanzong. Many disciples in sect looked bleak, and couldn't believe that Li Fan would make such an incomprehensible bet. They lean on the sect big formation. Even if they are trapped by the chasing Sun Palace, the big formation will not break for a while. As long as they have enough time for development, there is still a chance for them. But once the gambling contract is established, this last line of life is also extinguished. Li Fan's face was as usual, and he slowly raised his hand to stop the turbulent sound of disciples in the clan. In my mind, I slowly recalled that the system had been beeping more than 10 times in a row just now. Time to go back to when Li Fan asked about Jiwu's bet. The silent system suddenly trembled in his mind. A series of rushing sounds directly drew his mind into the system interface. As for Li Fan's external performance, it was as if the whole person was stunned. This is his first experience of such a thing. It was the first time he heard such frequent and anxious notification sounds from the system since he came to this weird misty world. The system's voice has always been cold and indifferent, as if there is no mood swing. But he actually heard a tinge of anxiety just now, which shocked his mind. I'm afraid something unusual has happened, Li Fan said in his heart. And this situation is not only encountered by Li Fan alone. At this moment, the 7 billion Blue Star Sect leaders who passed through the entire system were all forcibly pulled into the system interface and saw the message given by the system. The first 3 tense and rushed texts directly lifted the hearts of everyone in the system. Attention, urgent notice. Attention, urgent notice. Attention, urgent notice. The environment of the Kanglan domain of the astral realm is undergoing rapid changes, and the concentration of fog is abnormally ascension. According to estimates, the suppression of the fog and weirdness in the Kanglan region will be broken in another half a month. By then, all the sleeping weirdness in the Kanglan region will be awakened. The entire Kanglan region will become a dead place. All sect leaders in the Kanglan region, please go to the Red Ridge Stone Forest to investigate the cause of the change in the concentration of the fog, and solve the source. A mission rewards the person who solves the problem will be rewarded with 3,000 heavenly Dao merits. Others who accompany to complete the task will be rewarded with 500 heavenly Dao merits. After listening to the news from the system, Li Fan slowly thought about it. In the mouth of Sect Master Mu Quan, he had already learned some basic news about this world. This includes the misty world he is in, which is the place called Tongxingji. The place where Qian Yuanzong was located was a very small area called Kanglan Domain in the star-telling realm. The universe of stars is vast and boundless, and the cultivator of the small 8th rank sect leader like Mu Quan has no idea how big its area is. Not to mention how many places like Kanglan region are there in this universe of stars. The environment of the Kanglan region has undergone an abnormal change, and the concentration of the mist has suddenly increased. Will the weirdness break through the suppression of the Kanglan region? All these pieces of information flooded Li Fan's heart, making him feel that he really didn't know much about this place called the world of stars. Are the small weird riots that are usually once a month and the weird tides that Mu Quan said once a year are all after being suppressed? Then if it loses its suppression, will the Kanglan region more than 100,000 miles be filled with weirdness and turned into a dead region? And why does this system know about this kind of thing? Its power is too big and too mysterious. Li Fan couldn't figure out these kinds of questions at all. All the information can only be pressed into the bottom of my heart and turned into a small jigsaw piece. He believes that with his cultivation base's ascension, the truth of the world will appear before his eyes one day. Then he will be able to know why he came from Blue Star to this strange place full of mist. After taking back his thoughts, the beep of the system also slowly dissipated. A vast map appeared in the minds of all sect leaders. A dazzling scarlet spot marked on the map is the location of the Red Ridge Stone Forest. The Red Ridge Stone Forest is located in the northernmost part of the Kanglan region, bordering the Nanyu Valley region. Li Fan quickly checked the location of the Red Ridge Stone Forest. This place is not close to Qian Yuanzong. Qian Yuanzong is located in the southeast of the Kanglan region, while the Red Ridge Stone Forest is in the north of the Kanglan region, and the distance between the two places is close to 70,000 miles. All of a sudden, Li Fan's heart was chilled. Such a long distance is not something he can cross within half a month by a small cultivator. Even if the sleepless outbreak of spirit power continues to rush, he can only travel a distance of more than 10,000 miles in half a month. This is still in the case of a smooth journey, not counting the endless dangers of this endless fog. You must know that Qian Yuanzong's radius of a few hundred li, he met the Ghost Sect, the Cold Water Sect, the Three Sect Alliance, etc. Sect forces and no less than dozens of weird and tens of thousands of demonic beasts. The distance of 70,000 miles, it is not an exaggeration to say that there are thousands of people close to tens of thousands of strangers. As for the power of demonic beasts, it is estimated that they are countless. If you want to cross such a long road safely, you must at least reach the peak of the martial realm, and even reach the Dao realm to be foolproof. Fortunately, the system did not worry him for too long, and a solution was given at the bottom of the task interface. Obviously, the system also knows the situation of these people who have just arrived in the realm of the stars. After all, a Kanglan domain is 100,000 miles wide, and even if there are a lot of sect systems, it will be scattered. And Sect, which happens to be near the Can't Help Redrich Stone Forest, is even rarer. The system released this task so solemnly, it is impossible to pin all its hopes on one or two sects near the Redrich Stone Forest. Obviously, things that can cause a change in the concentration of a field of fog are not simple. It doesn't make any sense to go to more people who are too weak. That's why the system specified that all sect leaders were required to solve this problem, but it didn't say that sect disciples must be brought there. Li Fan moved his gaze to the bottom of the task interface. 10,000 miles shuttle talisman. It can travel thousands of miles to the designated location. The farther the shuttle distance, the larger the number of spirit stones needed. It can only be used by a single person. To activate this talisman, you need to continuously infuse spirit power, and the process must not be interrupted, otherwise the talisman will fail to break and shuttle. Exchange price. 50 wisps of heavenly Tao merit. After reading the introduction of Wanli shuttle talisman, Li Fan let out a pity. Secretly said, this 1,000 miles shuttle talisman is very useful. If it can affect many people, it will be a rare treasure whether it is for battlefield support or escape in crisis. Unfortunately, it can only affect one person, and if it takes too long to activate, you need to continue to infuse enough spirit power to activate this talisman. It cannot be interrupted or recharged in advance. In this way, the effect of this 1,000 miles shuttle talisman is undoubtedly much smaller. After all, if you are in danger, in such a tense moment, how can an enemy quietly wait for you to slowly activate this talisman on the spot? That time is long enough to kill you hundreds of times. But it's still a good baby. Li Fan immediately exchanged 2 for them, ready to be used when they go to the Redrich Stone Forest. After digesting the information of the system, Li Fan also had a bottom line about Jiwoo's sect bet. 3,000 strands of merit are not too much for him. But he still has a huge advantage that no one else has, a 100-fold increase. Give him 3,000 strands of merit, that's 300,000 strands. With 300,000 strands of heavenly Tao merit, he can go to the Star Palace to exchange for the high-grade Fire Spirit Orb to practice supernatural powers. The second Fire Thunder mastering the 5 thunders is expected to be quickly repaired. At that time, Ren Naji Wu's realm was much higher than him, and he still couldn't beat him who had cultivated 2 thunder methods. 22%. Chapter 58. Half-Moon Period. Ji Wu was delighted when he heard that Li Fan ignored the criticisms of Qian Yuanzong and directly agreed to his gambling fight. This Li Fan is really too young. He is eager to compete. He only cares about momentary conflicts without considering the consequences. But that's good. This kind of person deserves to have such a high rank, large formation and spells. I want your chance. Li Fan looked at the corners of Ji Wu's mouth that couldn't help but shook his head disdainfully and said, don't be too happy, I have one more condition. What conditions? Ji Wu sneered when Li Fan said so. The gambling time will be set in half a month, and the place will be in front of the Qian Yuanzong formation. Li Fan said. Ji Wu frowned, and the location was the same everywhere. If Li Fan was doing something in the gambling place, he can see through his cultivation base at a glance. After all, the gap between the 2 realms is too big. But what he didn't understand was why Li Fan set the gambling time in half a month. It is impossible for him to try to practice for half a month. Too naive. How could the gap between me and you be made up in a mere half a month? Ji Wu sneered in his heart. Half a month is neither long nor short. For Ji Wu, it happened to be stuck at the endurable limit. After all, if it was a little longer, people from the Qingjing Palace might send someone to ask for the mysterious stone slab. If they find that there is a 5th rank formation in Qian Yuanzong at that time, I am afraid they will be tempted. Various thoughts flashed in Ji Wu's heart, and finally he said, it's been too long for half a month. It doesn't make sense for you to delay this time. Set the time to tomorrow. Ji Wu was eager to solve Qian Yuanzong in his heart. Li Fan didn't speak. The meaning was obvious. Either he promised his terms, or he just didn't talk about it. The two stood in a stalemate for a time. But the disciples of Chasing Sun Palace and Qian Yuanzong couldn't help but talk. The people who chased the Sun Palace couldn't help but laugh when Li Fan wanted to delay time. One by one ridiculed Qian Yuanzong. Then Qian Yuanzong sect leader Li Fan really doesn't know the heights of the sky and the earth, thinking that if you delay for half a month, you can beat me chasing the Sun Palace in a gambling battle. It's ridiculous. There are all kinds of disciples under every kind of sect leader. Look at the people of Qian Yuanzong's low cultivation base, just like the soil buns of the pheasant sect in the country. It is estimated that these people have not practiced much, and they don't know the hardships of the path of practice. That's why they followed their arrogant sect leader to have this kind of daydream. Although the people of Qian Yuanzong also felt that the idea of delaying time like sect leader was useless. But after all, it is a matter of their own face. Even if they do not return hope, they can only bite the bullet and reply. What do you guys know? Our sect leader is talented and cultivated for half a month is enough to step on your sect leader. Huh, Sha Chong can't talk about it. I think the real buns are you. I never see the market and feel that others are just like you. We, sect leader Li, are very kind, just to let you live a few more days, you don't know how to cherish it. Everyone in Chasing Sun Palace was angry, Seeing that the quarrel between the two disciples intensified, they were in a big fight. But Li Fan is still indifferent. Ji Wu knew that it didn't make any sense to consume it. Seeing Li Fan's appearance that a dead pig was not afraid of boiling water, he finally said, okay, it's just half a month or half a month depending on you. I hope you won't be making excuses and delaying time. Always thinking that it's useless to play some conspiracy and tricks. You must remember that strength is respected on the path of cultivation. Li Fan looked at Ji Wu indifferently, as if looking at a dead person, without making any words. He just used spirit power to take the gambling contract in Ji Wu's hand over the air. The agreement between the two parties is filled in above. All opinions are unified. The two quickly signed the gambling contract. Ji Wu didn't want to stay here any longer. He glanced at Li Fan coldly, thinking that he would cut off Li Fan's head in half a month. Then he returned to Sect with thousands of people from Chasing Sun Palace. Seeing all the people in the Chasing Sun Palace leaving, the Qian Yuanzong disciples who were holding on to the momentum showed a lot of worry on their faces. Sect leader, are you sure of this gambling fight? Sect leader, Li Fan waved his hand silently, did not answer everyone's questions, just let them practice well during this time step by step. He was watching everyone's performance just now. Following his oldest 110 old disciples, when confronting the sun-chasing palace, everyone was brave and motivated to fight. I have never worried that Li Fan will lose and Qian Yuanzong will lose. Because they followed Li Fan step by step, they had seen how Li Fan cultivated from the first body refining realm to the realm in the dirty realm in only 2 months. They have all witnessed the difficulties and hardships along the way. From that mighty Lei Yanqi who drove everyone away in embarrassment, he was slashed by Li Fan alone, dragged back from the mist and turned into food for everyone. The first banyan tree to be killed by Li Fan was weird and rescued the trapped members of the Lingyun sect. Relying on the strength of the blood-changing realm, one person can solve the weird riots. Then he defeated the gloomy, icy, and evil ghost sect. Later, he led everyone to a battle with Guangyang Peak, killing 10 weird people in seconds, and smashing Song Fu, who was incarnate into an evil demon, with 2 lightning spells. In this short period of 2 months, they have never seen Li Fan fail. All the difficulties, no matter how difficult it seems, Li Fan can easily overcome it. In their hearts, Li Fan is the invincible god of war, and they have a blind worship of him. So they don't worry about losing at all, no matter what existence they face, as long as they are led by Li Fan, they dare to fight. However, those who have newly joined sects Hanshui Wuyang sects are obviously more realistic. They saw Ji Wu who was strong enough to resist the thunder without death or injury, and they also saw hundreds of realms profound sun-chasing cultivators. They used their life experience and rationally judged that Qian Yuanzong will undoubtedly lose in this battle. There is nothing to say about this. But Li Fan shook his head secretly in his heart. As a cultivator, if you don't have a brave and fearless heart, how can you go long on the road of spiritual practice? These people need to be cultivated. He wants to train his own sect disciples into an army with an invincible heart. A sect must have a fearless mentality before it can grow higher and go further. It happens that this time the powerful Chasing Sun Palace is a good whetstone. He will use this whetstone to sharpen the spirit of these people. Li Fan retreated from the crowd, but left behind Ren Guan Hengqing, who he trusted the most, and Fu Bingying, who was currently the most powerful in the entire sect. This time with the gambling game of Chasing Sun Palace, the 3 of you will win the first 2 games. 22%. Chapter 59. Waiting for the opportunity. Hearing Li Fan's words, the 3 of them looked different. Ren Guan Hengqing's expressions were calm and not worried. Although Fu Bingying has the highest strength, she has reached the 7th level of the viscera-raising realm after this period of cultivation. But she was the most worried. Fu Bingying frowned slightly, and secretly said in her heart, how could the 3 of them win the Chasing Sun Palace and others? I kept meditating on the way to win, but didn't say anything more. Li Fan looked at the three and smiled faintly. Since he chose to hand over the tasks of the first two single and group gambling battles to these three, how could he not be prepared? He flipped his hand, and a total of 27 pieces of blood, shining with crimson light, hovered in front of the three of them. This thing is a body tempering treasure, which can help you complete the 9 body tempering limits of the transmutation realm. After 9 body tempering, it is difficult to hurt you in the normal visceral state. Before the three of them could speak, Li Fan raised his hand again, and the 3 spiritual thoughts entered the sea of knowledge. This is the secret method of nourishing the viscera realm and tempering spirit power. You are good at practicing. The two of Hengqing and Rengguan were still calm, and after receiving the blood of Shuiyan, the disciples will definitely live up to the trust of sect leader. But Fu Bingying seemed to have seen a ghost. The small mouth opened slightly. Sect leader, this is too expensive. This is a genius treasure and a cherished secret technique that can help people break through the bottleneck in the future. He has produced so many in one go. The secret technique is also passed on to them. Don't you be afraid of them spreading out. These secret methods can be used as a foundation. This is the method that allows a sect to stand and flourish for thousands of years. These secret techniques are priceless treasures. If they appear on the market, they will cost at least 1 million spirit stones, and they may not be available for purchase. Although the 27 body tempering treasures can only temper the physical body to the peak of blood replacement, they are also rare treasures. The value of these water clouds and strange blood is not much lower than that of the secret method. The stormy sea turned up in Fu Bingying's heart. She couldn't understand why Li Fan in front of her could always do things that ordinary people couldn't. No wonder he didn't worry at all about the gambling fight with the Chasing Sun Palace. If you want medicine pill, you have medicine pill. If you want a secret method and have a secret method, you want a different treasure to have a different treasure. Everything is ready for the three of them. If they can't win the 2 gambling fights, they won't have to live. The sect leaders who have just accepted the system task have all discussed the time to converge. 5 days later, at noon, gather at the entrance of the Red Ridge Stone Forest. After arranging the affairs of the clan, Li Fan is ready to take advantage of the last time to place the cultivation base in ascension. The medicine pill, the practice of cultivating the viscera, is no longer in his hands. It would take at least 7 days to wait for the new batch of elixir to mature and to be refined. Time is too late. Li Fan simply used up the remaining 350 strands of merit and exchanged it for the medicine pill in the 7 bottles of Starry Sky Palace for the cultivation of Viscera Realm. This medicine pill is really expensive. I only changed 7 bottles for more than 300 merits. The total amount is only 70 pills. It is estimated that a small realm of cultivation base ascension can barely reach 6 levels of viscera. Li Fan shook his head secretly, vowing that he would never change the medicine pill for practice in the Star Palace in the future. It was not worthwhile. As usual, Li Fan swallowed 10 medicine pills and started refining. However, as soon as medicine pill entered the mouth, a massive amount of spirit power exploded in his body. The spirit power contained in this medicine pill is more than 10 times more than the medicine pill refined by Monster Core. I'm miscalculated. The violent spirit power seemed to burst his body. Fortunately, his physical body had been tempered many times to avoid the crisis of body explosion. Li Fan quickly ran the cultivation technique, carefully channeling the violent spirit power in his body, and guided the spirit power to rotate along the meridians in his body a little bit. Massive spirit power is like a steel knife that scrapes bones. Every inch of it runs, it splits an inch of meridians and then is repaired. Li Fan's painful forehead had blue veins rising, and it took him a full day to completely absorb the spirit power of the condensed pill. And Realm also reached the 6th level of nourishing the viscera, and even almost reached the edge of the 7th level. This made Li Fan had to marvel that the system produced must be a boutique product, which is really good value for money. It seems that in the future, when practicing medicine pill, you still have to buy it in the system. This practice speed is nearly 3 times faster than swallowing ordinary medicine pill practice. Ordinarily, if he wanted to break through to the 6th level of the Zhang nourishing stage, he estimated that it would take more than 3 days or even 5 days. Seeing that it was too early to converge on the Red Ridge Stone Forest, Li Fan sank and continued to practice. Time flickered and came 4 days later. At the entrance of the Red Ridge Stone Forest, there are 34 cultivators who raise the viscera. Among the cultivators, Realm has reached the peak of nourishing the internal organs. Most of the other 17 are also on the 4th to 7th floor. The strength is good. These 34 cultivators are the sect leaders who came to Redridge Stone Forest in response to the system mission to solve the problem of the concentration change of the mist in the Kanglan domain. Among them, there are 28 cultivators from the Kanglan region, and 6 from the southern Moon Valley region. The 100,000-mile Kanglan region includes the southern Moon Valley not far from the Red Ridge Stone Forest. Of course, it's not just Sect. But in the end, Sect, which was near the Red Ridge Stone Forest, rushed over, and there were so many cultivators who possessed enough merit to buy the 1,000-mile shuttle talisman and shuttle from there. After all, not everyone has so much financial resources. 2,000 Li shuttle talisman back and forth cost 100 strands of heavenly Dao merit. Normal Sect simply cannot support so much consumption. Many people have never seen 100 strangers since they came into this world, let alone beheaded. What's more, most people have obtained merits and used them to exchange resources for cultivation, so there is no excess. So those who can come here are sect leaders with good strength and strong financial resources. How about it? Are all the people here? Said a bald man in strong clothes. The woman in a pale yellow dress said coldly. According to the contact a few days ago, a total of 50 people agreed to come over, and now there are only 34 people gathered here. Try to contact the remaining people. The time is up and you can't wait too long. If you haven't arrived in half an hour, let them go directly. People who are too low in strength and can't even reach the mission location are of no use if they come. They can only be sent to death in vain. The bald man frowned and said impatiently. Yeah, the woman in the long skirt replied faintly. Inside Qian Yuanzong, the majestic purple completely envelops the room where Li Fan is. The disciples in Qian Yuanzong looked very curious at the purple gas that rose to the sky outside Li Fan's room. I don't know what his sect leader is doing. With such a huge momentum, it is impossible for him to cultivate some incredible spells. Finally, the transpiring purple gas lingering around Li Fan's house suddenly shrank sharply, and then swelled up again. Repeated several times, finally slowly dissipated in the world. Li Fan inside the room took a long breath, his eyes condensed. I finally made a breakthrough, the peak of the visceral state. 23%. Chapter 60 Gathering in the Red Ridge Stone Forest. After breaking through, Li Fan felt the spirit power in his body that had gone through the Ho Shen Ziyu secret technique to nourish the internal organs, continuously tempering and compressing spirit power, and smiled with satisfaction. If the spirit power in someone else's body is fog, then the spirit power in his body is like mercury, with a huge density, giving people a sense of weight. The power of Li Fan's martial skill and spells is naturally more than several times stronger than the spirit power that has not been tempered. Moreover, in the past few days, he has swallowed and refined 3 promise body refining pills and pushed his body to the 7th level of body tempering. The strength of his physical body in the ordinary aperture realm may not be able to break through his defenses. This made him extremely satisfied. And as he goes to the back, Li Fan finds that his body tempering is faster, which may also be related to his ample energy and increased physical body. According to this progress, wait until the day when gambling with chasing Sun Palace. He can reach the 9th level of body tempering consummation. After a while, Li Fan saw the private chat message in the system and snapped his head. It's over, I forgot the time. He replied to Song Yu, the female cultivator who contacted him, saying that he would be there in a moment. While taking out a large number of spirit stones to activate the Wanli shuttle. On the other side, in the Red Ridge Stone Forest, the bald man and the others asked impatiently, Song Sect Leader, how is the situation of the other 16 sect leaders? Is there anyone who can come over? If not, let's go. We can't delay any longer. Song Yu frowned. 10 of the 16 people who promised to come, their chat avatars have been darkened. It should be an accident in the middle. But 6 people replied that they will be there soon. Although the cultivators were impatient, they were still prepared to wait a while. Since the 6 had said so, they couldn't just leave others behind. After all, they are all fellows from Blue Star, and if there are more people, they will be more sure of completing this task. Song Yu just finished speaking. 5 people appeared in various directions beside the Red Ridge Stone Forest. It was the system players who came from their respective sects. Everyone waited for tea time again. A circular space crack also appeared at the entrance of the Red Ridge Stone Forest. A handsome young man with a thin body and a sharp face came through it. This young man was Li Fan, who came from Qian Yuanzong. Sorry, everyone has been waiting for a long time. Li Fan apologized as he looked at the people who had gathered. Li Fan, who had activated the 1,000 Miles shuttle talisman in Qian Yuanzong just now, thought he would be able to reach the Red Ridge Stone Forest soon. But I didn't expect that because Qian Yuanzong was too far away from here, the spirit power needed for the shuttle would also be huge. It took him more than half an hour just to charge the talisman, and the spirit stones on his body also cost nearly 70,000 yuan. This makes him feel distressed. It costs 70,000 spirit stones to transmit one time, and that too is not 140,000 spirit stones, but also because he has a lot of spirit stones in his hand. Otherwise, wouldn't it be the past, and can't go back? However, these two transmissions cost spirit stones, and they almost emptied his family. Originally, Qian Yuanzong had just received a large number of disciples. There are about 200,000 spirit stones left in the 300,000 spirit stones in his hand, and now there is another one. When I return to Sect, it is estimated that there will be 50,000 or 60,000 spirit stones left. Going back to find a way to make money again, this 1,000 Miles shuttle is really a pit. When everyone saw that Li Fan came so slowly and wasted a lot of time, they were a little bit unhappy in their hearts. The name of the person, the shadow of the tree, and there were nearly 40 cultivators present, and none of them did not know him. The whole system reported that the first player to kill the weird player and the first player to promote Sect to the 8th rank. No one knows, no one knows. When everyone first learned about these two achievements of Li Fan, they were very envious and felt that Li Fan was definitely stronger than everyone else. But after the opening of the climbing tower, everyone has heard of it, and Li Fan has climbed the tower several times. As a result, the first cultivator in the whole system, even the second floor of the Dengshan Tower, did not even pass, and his name was not seen in the top 100 of the Dengshan Tower. Everyone agreed that Li Fan is just an ordinary person with good luck, and meeting is not as well known. Early realm ascension is fast, sect grade ascension is early, but the strength is low, and the combat experience is even more inadequate. Otherwise, how could he even be unable to beat the gatekeepers of the second level of marrow washing realm? We must know that on that day, some people broke through the third tower with the cultivation base. Defeated the gatekeepers who were also in the transmutation realm but were several times stronger than the normal cultivator. Later, some people thought that Li Fan might just not adapt to the rules of the tower. After all, realm is here. At least the first 3 floors of climbing tower should not be difficult for him. But more than a month later, everyone did not see Li Fan's name appearing on the Dengshan Tower rankings. Everyone gradually lost interest in it. After Li Fan arrived, all the people who came to participate in the system tasks had arrived. Everyone is no nonsense. After briefly introducing their respective basic conditions, realm cultivation base, they entered the Red Ridge Stone Forest together. As soon as they entered this stone forest, everyone felt the difference here. The Red Ridge Stone Forest looked the same from the entrance just now, nor did it feel any difference in the density of the fog nearby, nor did it feel that the density of the fog was ascension. But as soon as they entered this stone forest, everyone felt as if they had entered another piece of heaven and earth. The strong desires turned into a dense fog, which completely obscured everyone's sight. Even if everyone concentrates the spirit power in their own eyes, they can only see the surrounding distance less than 10 meters. This made everyone's heart suspense all at once. As soon as I entered, I already felt that there might be a big horror in this place, and the atmosphere was suppressed for a while. In the sight of everyone, the shape of the roots was distorted, and the winding tree-shaped stone pillars stood in the mist. The weird tree-shaped stone pillars resembled the arms and limbs of monsters, and suddenly looked as if they were dancing without wind, but after careful inspection, they found that there was no change. 40 cultivators from afar walked carefully among them, slowly groping towards the mark on the system map, which is the deepest part of the Red Ridge Stone Forest. Because of the weird surrounding environment, everyone is moving forward very slowly, and walking at this speed may not finish half the distance for 2 consecutive days. It's not a way to go on like this, it takes too long. I'm afraid we will break through the blockade without waiting for us to reach the system marking point. A cultivator in the team made a worried voice. Everyone also knows that this is not the way to go. After thinking for a while, Song Yu in the team said, everyone can squeeze together to ensure safety, but the speed is really too slow. It is better to divide the team into 4. There is a team of 10 people. Each team is separated by 50 meters, and then speeds up and rushes directly to the target location. The distance between the teams is not too far. In case you encounter any situation, you can hear loudly, and you will come and support. What do you think? Is this going to Separate the action. Hearing Song Yu's opinion, Li Fan's heart tightened, feeling that the mist around him seemed to have life, as if secretly cheering. Seemed to have life, as if secretly cheering. Seemed to have life, as if